time has come for the Pittsburgh Penguins to face the music of a Chicago stadium night. It's Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final in the Blackhawks building, where we will all feel the noise. Next.
This is an ordinary run-of-the-mill exhaust pipe. And this is a Midas Long Life exhaust pipe. It's aluminized. And for about the same price, it lasts twice as long as ordinary pipe. And for most cars, only Midas makes it.
Ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to be a pilot. And thanks to the bank, I was able to do that.
Through financial transactions, people plan for and achieve their dreams.
We just got a personal line of credit with the Bank of Montreal because we want to do renovations on the house.
At different times of your life, you need a bank for different reasons. We went to the bank looking for a pre-approved mortgage. Bank of Montreal helped make our dream come true.
Bank of Montreal's been great, we can talk, they're good for business.
Bank of Montreal, we're paying attention.
Well, Sports Select fans, the boys of summer are here and hockey's finished.
It's always a bonus in Toronto.
Hey, that's a bonus everywhere because wagering on Sports Select baseball
is like watching paint dry. Who couldn't pick winners in baseball? There's no tie games.
So who are you picking?
Winnipeg.
Not in baseball.
Fine then, Quebec.
Jerry, Montreal has the ball team. Quebec plays hockey.
You might call that hockey. Sports fans, make your Sports Select wager today.
At least Blue knows baseball.
Play Pro Line and over-under.
Only two teams in history have erased 3-0 series deficits, and only once has it happened in a Stanley Cup final with the 42 Leafs. So the challenge for Chicago is obvious as they host Pittsburgh this evening in Game 3. Good evening and welcome to Molson Hockey Night in Canada and the 1992 Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC television. I'm Ron McLean with Frank Mojica on camera 6. Wayne Mesmer just to the right of the camera standing by to bring us the Star-Spangled Banner. Frank Pellico at the organ, the Barton organ, the world's largest unified organ, 40,000 pipes, 25 keyboards. You can see the sheet music to the Phantom of the Opera just above Frank and Wayne's head. Harvey Wittenberg, the public address announcer, is taking care of the ceremonies in the building right now. The electricity is something. They needed a shoehorn to get all the fans in. There's over 17,000. Some paid as much as $600 US for scalpers tickets to see this critical game for the Chicago Blackhawks. Here comes the crowd. Let me tell you about a couple of news stories just before we look ahead to Game 3 tonight. There was an explosion of sorts in Montreal and Toronto yesterday involving an announcement by Pat Burns. Within 5 hours, Burns announced he had resigned as the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens. And then at a press conference in the Gardens at 4:30 Eastern Daylight Time from Cliff Fletcher, he accepted the job as head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Pat Burns and I spoke at the Gardens yesterday. We'll air that in our second intermission this evening. The other big buzz around the hockey world took place when Jeremy Roenick appeared at a press conference with Mike Keenan yesterday, sporting a cast on his right hand and forearm because of a sprained thumb. The injury to Roenick flared up apparently in the second period yesterday. Roenick goes across the red line, 27 red. He's hit by Kevin Stevens' stick as Stevens tries to block Roenick out. That's where Jeremy was first injured. You see him throw his right hand in the air. Then he was in a scuffle later in the second period with Rick Tocchet. The good news if you're a Blackhawk fan is that Roenick has taken the cast off. He'll have it frozen. He will play this evening for the Blackhawks. Bob Erie is out for Pittsburgh. Other than that, everything is as usual. Bedlam in the broadcast booth and with their thoughts on Game 3, Bob Cole, Dick Irvin, and Harry Neal. Bob?
Thank you, Ron, and good evening again, everybody. Well, it was just the other day I was talking to Mike Keenan, and he was saying how delighted he would be to be back in Chicago. Now, when I talked to him, and when he said that he was down 1 game, well, now he's down 2, and I guess he's talking about the crowd noise here and the support they get, but also the smaller ice surface. Now, it seems to me the smaller ice surface of the Boston Garden, Dick, didn't bother Pittsburgh.
Well, in that Boston series, it's almost deja vu. The Penguins hope so anyway. They could have, maybe should have lost Game 1. Came back much stronger in Game 2, won it handily. Went into Boston. There was the talk, the small ice, the crowd, the forechecking. They handled it magnificently and obviously easily won Games 3 and 4. That's what they want to do tonight. But let's not forget, the Hawks are a better team than the Bruins.
But this has got to be the ultimate test for not only Pittsburgh, but Harry, I suppose any team coming into this building.
Well, I'll tell you this, if the Hawks can get off to a good start and prolong a good start, they will have these fans
the net at the Pittsburgh end. Who knows if that's an omen? Don Cherry, the Blackhawks are down 2.
Well, they're down 2. Mike Keenan, I'm sure, went in the dressing room and said, look, they won their home game. We got to win our home games. It's that simple. I remember when Montreal Canadiens had us down 2-0. I promised the guys we'd go back for the 7th game. Win these 2 games. The one thing that I think Chicago's got to do, Chicago's got to bother Barassa in the net. I'm not saying run him down. You get great shots from the point, but it's like picking cherries. I'm looking for a big guy to be in front of the net and Barassa tonight. And as the guy said, forecheck. It's a little pond out here. Don't lay back. Hey, run. They lose tonight. They're all over tonight. This is it. Do or die. Let's hope Belfour comes up with a dynamite game.
They have the foghorn in waiting here, but Don, you think the Blackhawks might be nervous with all this?
No, you'll never be nervous with a crowd like this. They're pumped up. They just got to go back to doing what they were doing. The first period of the first game, that was the key of it, and then they let up. Get back to that first period. They'll be all right. And you got to watch the penalties, though. You got to watch the penalties here because Ferrio and goal, they get going. Look out.
Don Koharski's the head referee this evening. This will be his first game of the 92 Stanley Cup Final. Andy Van Hellemond scheduled to work Game 4, and then it'll be Coho back in Pittsburgh if it goes that far. Well, what more can be said? Game 3's on deck. Frank Pellico and Wayne Mesmer are poised to bring you the Star-Spangled Banner, one of the finest moments in all of sports spectacle. So let's just soak up the atmosphere ringside and wait for Harvey Wittenberg to announce Wayne.
And join the soloists Wayne Mesmer and Frank Pellico at the organ as they sing and play our national anthem.
should be here at the Chicago Stadium for the beginning of one of these games, especially a Stanley Cup playoff game. Here's Don Koharski, the referee, with Kevin Collins and Jerry Gauthier, who will work the lines with Koharski tonight. The save percentage of the two starting goaltenders in this series couldn't be closer. Tom Barrasso is at .906. His goals against average is 2.86. Ed Belfour's save percentage is .904. And goals against average of 245. Now this is Barrasso's 20th game tonight. Belfour is in his 17th. Starting is Mario Lemieux at center ice. Tocchet and Stevens on the wings for Pittsburgh. Chicago. Sutter coming in with Matto. Green is 33 and he has the puck back to the net. Chicago would dearly love the first goal in this game. To make sure they
He's going to make it tough on his buddy Keenan. His first and maybe his biggest chore is to get his Penguins past the first 10 minutes in this game. Chicago has buried many a team over the years in the first 10 or 12 minutes. Barrasso looks sharp as he makes 2 good stops with lots of traffic around.
And Mario was upset with himself. He just blindly threw that puck back out of the scramble at the goal crease for the second shot to be set up by Steve Smith.
Chicago now, every man up for the face-off inside the Pittsburgh line. Francis won this one cleanly. Lemieux got it ahead. DeFrancis at center and Tocchet on the play. Glove save by Belfour. His first stop came from about 50 feet. Gilbert shot one in high into the crowd. The building is shaking here in Chicago, and why wouldn't it shake? Because Mike Keenan is a little bit shaky. Down 2 games to nothing. Not easy.
Well, in the morning practice, Mike was very intense. His team had a very intense, very fast morning skate. They looked sharp. They looked focused. But how many times have coaches been deceived after watching the morning practice?
Would you say he has become, along with Mario, the #1 personality of this series? He's got the most coverage, I think.
The big cheer is Roenick, 27. It'll be interesting to see how he really shoots the puck now. He gets an opportunity. He's out there, first shift. Number 27 for Chicago. There he is, rolling the puck along the boards from the line. Marchman shot. Rebound was there. Roenick couldn't get into it in time. Flip back in, and Barrasso's alert again to scoop it up. Penguins get it off a stick down the ice. McEachern set it up in front. Here's a chance. Bort trying to get a shot. Chicago back out. Roenick over the line, waiting. He just did get out of the way of Bort, who tried to hit him. Farmer shot it back to the goal. Into the corner. Goulet stopped. Now Phil Bort. And just tipped it out over the line. Chelios with Smith. Chelios coming in. Good-looking rush till he got to the line when Herdina was in his way. Back to the net. Chicago forcing the play. Hudson had a shot blocked. Cleared from the line by Smith. Holland on the offside. 1:51 into the first period.
Is this your average quiet night in?
Showtime.
Alex. Hi, I'm not disturbing anything, am I?
No, just a quiet night in.
Oh, sounds like it.
Beer?
Yeah, please.
Is this your average beer? Molson Special Dry. It just could be the best beer ever brewed, anytime, anywhere.
Sometimes teams keep injuries secret. They wonder why Mike Keenan revealed the Roenick injury. Somebody said that's so 18,000 people can holler when they hit him tonight. They know he's been hurt.
Well, if you're a Chicago fan, the most encouraging thing other than he's playing is he took the first face-off. And you think with a bad hand he'd let the winger do that.
Roenick remains on with Goulet and Larmer. Robertson Murphy, the Pittsburgh defenseman, they waste little time getting the puck out and down the ice. But they're called on the ice, and so they'll bring it all the way back to the right of Tom Barrasso.
Well, Pittsburgh's strategy against the forecheck, which is a little more effective here than it is in a bigger rink like Pittsburgh, they have forwards leaving the zone early, and the defensemen just dump it into the neutral zone. And they'll put up with some icings like the one they just had. Secondly, you're going to see the defensemen reverse the puck. Chicago floods the side of the rink that the puck is going to with 3 forechecking forwards and a pinching defenseman. So look for the Pittsburgh defense to toss it back against the flow to a forward coming in, and Barrasso will stay in his net a lot more than he did in Pittsburgh.
Chelios from the blue line, trying to come in for a shot. Tocchet staying with him. Chelios trying to keep it in, can't do it. Turning at center. Shot it up to the line. Chicago on the move. Sutter centered it. Sutter then overskated it the second time, and Tocchet
see teams play when their backs are against the wall like Chicago. You then find out which individuals really can come to the front when things are tough. And Mr. Balfour has that assignment for the Hawks.
Trottier, Younger, Loney up front for Pittsburgh. Hudson to take the face-off against Trottier. And Hudson wins it. Dennis Marchman with a puck coming out. He had the Chicago goal in Game 2. Peluso, 44. He's coming in there hard, but he's tied up and knocked down. And the puck cleared down the ice. Marchman back. Fired it on the boards. That would go all the way down the ice. Pittsburgh back. Shell Samuelson. Icing called against Chicago.
Well, Peluso's job is to get out there early and be the first man in on the forecheck. And look what the Pittsburgh Penguins do to him to give their defenseman a chance to handle the puck. They don't want this big guy taking 5 or 6 strides. So see the hold up here? Yager hooks him, then Murphy hooks him. That gives Gordy Roberts a chance to get back and twist away without going into the glass. We're going to see a lot more of that on behalf of the Pittsburgh forwards after the Chicago shoot-in.
Shots are 4-2 in favor of Chicago. The 2 shots by Pittsburgh so far were long-range types. Pocket had one half-decent shot, but from just inside the blue line. Trottier, Yager just to his right. No score, first period. Game 3 from Chicago. Pittsburgh on the draw. Samuelson shot blocked. Yager trying to get loose. You know how he can do it. He shot one in, but it hit a skate in front of the net. Loney kept it in, took a hit on the play from Kravchuk. Here's Kuchera. Starting the Blackhawks away. Hudson across center and ripped it in. Gilbert on it. Got by him and into the crowd again. And the face-off is going to be inside the Pittsburgh blue line.
Ask anyone who's driven an Escort lately. They'll tell you that we're not only building great cars, we're creating better ways to buy them. Like the 1993 Escort, 5-door, sedan, and wagon. All 3 models come well-equipped with air conditioning, AM/FM stereo, power steering, and more, each for the same low price. It's an easier, better way to buy a car. The 1993 Escort. Quality is job one. It's working. Ask anyone who's driven an Escort lately. They'll tell you that we're not only...
3 minutes and 36 seconds into the opening period. Roenick back on for Chicago. Goulet and Larmer, the wingers for Jeremy Roenick. Ron Francis at center ice for Pittsburgh. McEachern is going to go in now. Francis is tossed out. Phil Morton is on the other side. The face-off. Comes back quickly to Stanton. He gives it to Alt Samuelson, and he shot it to center. Chelios Smith, the Chicago defenseman. Samuelson getting away from a hit. Got the puck as far as the line, but not out. He'll try it again. Again, he's stopped. Third time he gets it away to center ice. And Steve Smith was back for Roenick. Roenick has got to get going for Chicago in this series. Long pass intended for Goulet. Here's Smith stepping up there. Into Larmer, and that's offside. Larmer saw the defenseman come in, and he burst in a little bit too quickly. He was offside.
Well, one thing Mike Keenan's doing a little more often here where he gets the last change is put his 5 best offensive players on the ice at the same time. The Roenick line with Goulet and Larmer, and Smith and Chelios. And he seems to be as interested in doing that as getting Smith and Chelios out against Mario Lemieux the way he did in Pittsburgh.
Peluso again, watching young McEachern, number 15 for Pittsburgh. And what we have seen so far of Sean McEachern, he's got a future.
Scotty was telling me after the second game that he couldn't get McEachern in as often as he wanted, so we might see more of him tonight.
Kravchuk shooting the puck in for Chicago. Centered very quickly. Blackhawks on it. They have the upper hand in the early going of this first period. it ahead to McKecker, and he dumped it in. McKecker coming to the net. Another shot. Now he's back in the goal, centered. McKecker stopped by Belfort twice, and then he nearly backed it in off the goaltender.
McKecker made a pretty good play, Harry. There was a space between Belfort's legs, and that's where the kid went for. Go ahead, Belfort made the stop.
Well, McKecker made a pretty good play with the great speed he's got to get to the outside, coming up right here. And he fumbles the puck past the Hawk defenseman, and then gets in to where you had a chance. Kravchuk went for the puck, and this is what happened to him. Alford pretty good out in the angle, but you can see the 5-hole was open for a second.
Face off to the left of the net. Lemieux on again. Bang on it. Puck came over to him rather quickly on the draw. Here's Chelios shooting at the center to Graham. Hit his stake. He has to back out. Stevens. Pass intended for Lemieux was intercepted. The crowd buzzing on that one because he was open. Here's Lemieux, put it ahead to Stevens. Stevens coming in with Tocchet. Jim Pack's shot is blocked. He got the rebound off Graham and just tossed it in behind the net. Smith for Chicago. Decides to lug it himself. Flipped it into the zone. Barrasso out. Made it up on the boards. Here comes Graham. Now it's back to Chelios. Hit the goal post to the outside. There's a penalty coming up against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's the first power play of the hockey game. When we come back, and it'll belong to Chicago.
Oh, hi, Mr. Johnson.
Call me Jerry.
Thought your dad was supposed to be out of town.
Hey, Jeff. Grab a Coke for your old dad.
How about Pepsi?
What's the tip?
Say goodbye, Jerry.
The difference is one tastes better.
This one.
You chose Pepsi.
The majority of soft drink users tested prefer the taste of Pepsi over Coke Classic.
Weighing 6'6", Shel Samuelson gets his stick high. It's really high, and he gets the first penalty call of the hockey game. They catch it here at the side of the net. There, right there. You see his stick go up. The Penguin Blackhawk go down, and Koharski makes the call.
And the power play for Chicago has Noonan with Roenick. Back to Smith. Chelios again. Waited too long. The shot was blocked by Mario Lemieux. The net tangled along the boards. Two players. Koharski called the play.
One for 7. The Hawks are 1 for 7 on the power play in the first 2 games of this final. Samuelson, who's one of those players who's detested by the opposition, but would be very welcomed as a teammate if you could ever get your mitts on.
They're 6 for 7 here in Chicago area as far as wins and losses are concerned in the playoffs, using this building and all of its advantages to the utmost. St. Louis Blues, the only team to beat the Blackhawks in the playoffs on the road. Penguins have played 9 times, won 6, lost 3.
Noonan is off, and now Sutter is on to take this face-off. Larmer is the other forward for Chicago. Ron Francis will try to win it for Pittsburgh. Mario Lemieux, the other forward. Alt Samuelson and Murphy are the defensemen. 1:51 left in the penalty. Face-off to the left of Barrasso. Collins now ready, but the Chicago players are questioning referee Koharski. Now Larmer gets back in position. And here's the face-off. Back to the line it goes. Chelios threw it ahead to Larmer. Larmer waits. Side of the net. Coming up front. Barrasso down. Made a save. And Lemieux was there to shoot at the length of the ice. Chelios and Smith. Sutter. Larmer. Roenick. And they're winding up in the Chicago zone. Roenick flying down that right side with Larmer taking the puck. Larmer shooting. Barrasso looking very cool. And he caught that and held on to it.
Harry, that rush by Roenick, that's the best move he's made in the 3 games.
Well, Steve Larmer, one of his favorite plays on the rush is the crisscross in front of the opposing defense. And when Roenick's scaring the life out of the defenseman and he might go wide and then cuts across, Larmer comes off his tail. He get some time to get a shot away, as he did right here. Easily handled by Barrasso.
Sutter again on the faceoff. And again, Francis for Pittsburgh. No score, first period. Power play, Chicago, 1:22 left in the penalty. Chelios and Smith. Chelios ahead with it. Larmer had it backhanded behind the net. Samuelson was there, couldn't get it out. Smith stopped it, shot it back to the goal. Sutter centered it, right under the stick of Murphy. He got it back again, though, to Smith near the blue line. He had to poke it ahead. He was checked quickly. Barrasso is helping out, getting behind the net. He fired away. Here's Smith intercepting, but it's slumped down the ice. And it goes all the way down to Ed Belfour. 50 seconds left in the Pittsburgh penalty. No score. First period. Game 3. Goulet shoots it in. Here's Rob Brown. Brown passed it back to the line to Chelios. To Kravchuk. He's got a good shot. Missed the net with that one. It's McEachern picking it up to shoot it away. 30 seconds left in the penalty. Kravchuk for Chicago. Goulet circles to his left. Kravchuk coming out. Gets to center. Rifle it in off the boards. Pittsburgh on it quickly and they clear the zone. Kravchuk nearly lost it to Phil Bork. Now the pass to center. It's Goulet coming in with Manteau. He's covered and can't shoot it. Goulet gave it to Brown in the far corner. To the line. Noonan ripped it. And there's Barrasso again. He has been very steady. The penalty is over. Pittsburgh has killed the first penalty of the game.
Well, it's tough for you to win playoff games at any stage in the playoffs, let alone the finals, when your top scorer, Roenick, has one shot on goal in 2 games and no points, and your second scorer, Larmer, has 1 point. They just have to get some offense.
Pittsburgh very patient. They killed off the first penalty of the game. And Chicago has outshot them 7-3 to this point in the first period. 8 minutes gone. Jocelyn Lemieux brings onto it, side of the net with a pass. Now around the goal to the other side. Trache pinned him on the board. There's Hudson trying to get away from Murphy. Hudson back to the goal. He is stopped. Now it's centered. Vasquez was coming in, all ready to crack one, but it was intercepted. Trache will clear the zone. Relieving the pressure. And the Penguins continue to just look happy at this stage, clearing it out, and a call for icing again.
Well, Jaromir Jagr, he wears number 68, if you haven't heard, to commemorate the Soviet invasion of his homeland in Czechoslovakia in 1968. He wasn't alive, but of course, like all young Czechoslovakians, heard lots about it. His mother's here to watch him play, and Jagr very quickly in these 92 playoffs has become the most offensive 4-letter word in Pittsburgh.
There's the big crowd in the grand old Chicago Stadium.
12 days, Bob. It's been 12 days since there's been a hockey game here. Edmonton 3-4 for Chicago, and of course Pittsburgh 1-2 in this series. That's a long time without a game in the playoffs.
8:30 gone in the opening period. It is scoreless to this point. Ron Francis again for Pittsburgh. In center for Chicago. They haven't dropped it yet. Chicago winning the draw. Graham shoots one. Screen shot. But Barrasso again, he's a good angle goaltender. And he had the angle on that one. The puck just came right to him.
Kirk Graham and the Blackhawks, I think, must be aware by now, because it has received some publicity, of one thing. They are co-tenants in this building with the Bulls of the NBA, defending NBA champions, who advanced to the finals last night by beating Cleveland. Never has a team won an NBA title and the Stanley Cup playing in the same city in the same year. Has it happened?
Well, that's a good bet against every year at the start of the seasons.
Smith stopping it at the blue line, keeping it onside. Francis goes back to pick it up for Pittsburgh, but great forechecking in the early going of this game by the Chicago Blackhawks. Puck comes loose along the boards. Blackhawks keep it in. There goes Graham, the captain. He shot it off the boards behind the net for Manteau.
CIL Dulux has the inspiration, the ideas, and the color solutions to bring your home to life. CIL Dulux brings your home to life.
Well, this pretty well tells you why Pittsburgh's ahead 2-0 in this series. Their big guns are shooting real bullets.
Face off to the left and Tom Morasso. Into the corner it goes. Holt Samuelson gave it a stand-in. He got rid of it. And that is obviously the game plan of Scotty Bowman and the Pittsburgh Penguins starting this game. Careful. Everybody back. Nobody get caught. So far, nobody has been caught, but most of the play has been inside the Pittsburgh line. There's McEachran out there again, but it's stopped by Larmer. Turning with Roenick. Larmer shot. Hit the goal post. He put it by Morasso, but it hit the post. McEachran now, Stanley shot. Here's Roenick coming back up the center. Nailed by old Samuelson hard at center ice. Boy, Chicago came that close. Off the goalpost. And now, Roenick is slow to get up.
I'd be slow to get up, too. Samuelson really caught a hold of Roenick in the neutral zone. Not unlike some of the other hits we've seen in the past. There's the shot off the post that seemed to hit the Larry Murphy in the skate. Morasso was beaten cleanly on it, and I'm sure he heard it. Here's another one. Did it hit? Samuelson, not Larry Murphy. You know it hit the post. And then on the next rush, look at this. What an awful feeling when you come up and you know you can't get out of the way, and you got a guy like Samuelson. Good, clean, neutral zone hit from Jeremy Roenick.
And that was a two-man break for Chicago. Roenick trying to catch up and get into it. And he would have been, except for old Samuelson.
I think Jeremy likes to get hit the odd time. It gets him in the game. One of his great assets is his toughness and his feistiness and a little mean streak in him. That'll go along with a great talent we've seen him have.
Face-off is near the center ice red line. Stepping up here is Marchment. They shot in. Blocked in front of the net. Gilbert was in for checking, so was Noonan. But the Penguins get it out. Now it's called in a glove pass. So they'll bring it back.
I really think in the first two games, especially game 2, the Blackhawks got carried away with two things. One, seeing how many hits they could get and not be concerned about playing their own game, where if the hit's there, you take it and don't hunt for it all night. And secondly, being too concerned about Lemieux, especially Lemieux. And the next thing you know, you're not playing your game. They won 11 straight games. They ought to get back to trying to play that way. Don Cherry mentioned that in the opening. He's right. Forget worrying about Pittsburgh. See if you can get them to worry about you.
Francis, Stevens, and Tocchet is the Pittsburgh line now. Here's Gilbert for Chicago. Put it back in front of the net. Two Penguins butt together. And they get the puck out. Francis poked it down for Tocchet. Stevens is coming up. Stevens! Stopped by Belfour! Joel Moran! And Belfour makes that great save. That's his best so far. He only had 4 shots. That one looked like it might have been a goal.
Well, the Penguins are gambling. If they keep dumping the puck into the neutral zone, they'll get a turnover there, or they'll get a defenseman that gets trapped, like Marchment does right here. And the first real good chance the Penguins had, Stevens gets a nice pass from Tocchet, but over on a stacked pad stop by Eddie Belfour.
The old story is nobody would rather have get a chance like that than somebody who caught 54 goals this season. Out a little bit. Belfour played it well. Mario is out. This is his 5th full-strength shift. And for every minute I've been watching that he's been on the ice, except for his penalty-killing role, Brent Sutter has been out there with him. So he has the job, obviously, tonight.
Stevens remains on. Younger is the other forward on the right side of Mario Lemieux. Chicago now. Have to be mindful of Younger and Lemieux. They're in forechecking now. The Blackhawks come out, however. Nato gets up over the line. A weak shot off Murphy. Sutter's the first one in there. Got a pass back to Dirk Green, who was hit. Nato lost it. And Gordy Roberts took his
the first car maker over 30 years ago to build vehicles with seat belts, to make safety glass standard, the first North American car maker to offer anti-lock brakes and offer more models with dual airbags than any other manufacturer, the Ford Motor Company. That's who.
We're committed to making safety innovation an important part of quality.
The Ford Motor Company. Quality is job one. It's working.
Detroit native Gordy Robertson, his 136th Stanley Cup game, second only to Brian Trottier in the finals, gets the second Pittsburgh penalty. A trip on Jeremy Roenick, and it was a pretty obvious trip. Roenick trying to make the move. Down he goes. Second power play chance for Chicago. They've outshot the Penguins 9-4 so far.
And they get a face-off to the right of Tom Barrasso. No score, first period. Chicago, Larmer, Roenick, Noonan, Chelios, and here's Kravchuk. He missed it. Knocked over his stick to the blue line. So he's back. And he skates up the left side, played it to the other wing. Chopped off by Shell Samuelson, kept in by Chicago. Roenick is going in after Oak Samuelson, trying to hit him. Got a piece of him, and the Penguins clear it down the ice. Chelios coming back. Kravchuk, the other defenseman. Chelios, the quarterback, starts up to center, whips it in on the boards. Barrasso missed that one. It cuts in front of the net. Out comes Barrasso, make a great save. Chelios now shooting into the crowd. That one off the stick, but Chicago getting some great chances. And there was one down the tubes right there.
Well, they were handed the chance when the Penguins misplayed the puck deep in their own zone, and Barrasso dodged the bullet.
No, it was a shoot-in. It's awfully tough in this rink to get shoot-ins that go around the boards. Barrasso gets out, but he can't get it. And then we see the turnover there as it bounced off Samuelson's skate. And Barrasso didn't know where the puck was after it hit him. Here's the play we're talking about. See, it went right through the legs of Shell Samuelson. And Larmer got one from 12 feet out but couldn't beat Barrasso. Tom Barrasso really has shaken the handle of not being able to win the big games. He's been the only reason this game's still 0-0. Last year, Bob, he went from a 3.59 goals against in the season to a 2.60 in the playoffs. This year, 3.53 in the season, down to a 2.86 in the playoffs. That's nearly a goal a game on.
Sorry, Harry, I was going to say he is one of the main reasons Pittsburgh is here in the Stanley Cup final. He's been solid throughout the whole playoff.
7:25 left in the first period.
No score. Minute 10 on a power play for Chicago. And Murphy got there in time to stop Noonan. He might have to do it again. Noonan got it back. Now Chelios with Smith at the point. Chelios coming around Francis. Backhands it over in the crease area. Noonan took a whack at it. Smith is pitching in. Oh, Chicago in there. But it's cleared away by old Samuelson, who took a whack at Goulet in the crease. And the puck is over the boards to the far side. There's going to be another face-off in the Pittsburgh zone. 44 seconds left in the penalty to Pittsburgh.
Michel Goulet missed on a very close range backhand. The Hawks are all over the Penguins, but the score is 0-0. And I mentioned earlier that the first 10 or 12 minutes, and we're into about the 13th minute now, Chicago has buried all kinds of teams here, but Tom Barrasso is not letting them do it tonight.
Goulet's in quite a shot there at the edge of the crease. Samuelson. 6:54 left in the first period. 11-4 in shots favor Chicago, enjoying their second power play now. As Harry pointed out, still no score in this first period. Lemieux on the boards against Smith. Francis sweeping it away, getting it down the
yesterday. It was his birthday. Look at this place. About to become the former Chicago Stadium. They're building a new one across the street.
Imagine they had an NFL playoff final in here with a bad blizzard. Portsmouth lost 9-0 to Chicago Bears, and you remember this play. Bronco Nagurski faded back and threw a touchdown pass to Red Grange to give them the NFL title.
Jim Pack for Pittsburgh. Rolled it into the Chicago zone. Kravchuk, the defenseman, with it. The penalty is over now. Roberts is out of the box. So Pittsburgh has killed another one off. Still no score in the first period. Hudson is in deep. Samuelson stopping him. Jocelyn will be in the corner. Pack him in on the boards. And Roberts made sure Chera could play it. On center, Hudson put it ahead for Kuchera. Loney cleared it out. Kravchuk going back to the net. Chicago moving it. Ever so slowly they get to center, and Hudson flipped it in, and he's now going off. Quick changes by Mike Keenan of the Chicago Blackhawks. Nato running into Trottier. Yager tied up. Murphy carries on. They get up over the line, and it's shot in wide of the net by Roberts. Here's Trottier. He's trying to center it. Tied up by Busquets. Can't get loose. Yager digs it out. Yager turning away from center. Going the other way. Yager hangs on to it. He's back near the line. Now he rolls it in. It's intercepted, and the Blackhawks come back out. Marchman lifted one end. Sutter, or Nato rather, and Roberts bumped rather heavily near the Pittsburgh line. Looked like something might happen, but nothing developed.
The problem's obvious. You need a new muffler. Well, right now at Canadian Tire, we'll install any MotoMaster muffler for both imported and domestic cars for just $34.95. And they're guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Now that's one deal that looks as good as it sounds. MotoMaster, Canada's #1 selling replacement parts.
Can't help but talk about this building as we pan around again. The second oldest building in the National Hockey League, the Boston Garden, beats it by 3 years. This one opened in 1929. Jim Belushi always smiles on tonight's show on Saturday Night Live, but every time we take a picture of him, he's frowning, scowling. Loosen up, Jim. It's only a game.
Against Everton, he had a few smiles, as I recall.
It's a very big game for the Chicago Blackhawks. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. Pittsburgh winning the first two at home. The kicker coming to center and going in. Takes a shot high one. Well, Four hasn't had too much work so far in the period. That's only his 5th shot. And he hangs on to it.
Harry, would you say Belfort is showing a little more poise tonight? At least so far, he hasn't had that much to do, but we're 15 minutes into the period.
He looks a lot more comfortable. I don't know whether uncomfortable is the right word, but he was kind of swimming in those games in Pittsburgh and floundering around the crease and lost his stick on one goal and went down early on 2 or 3. He looks much more composed now.
Inside the circle. Race off to the right of Belfour. Pittsburgh on the draw. Pack shot. Hit like a score! Jim Pack shot it from the blue line, and it hit a stick before it got to the net. And Pittsburgh gets the first goal. 1-0.
I don't know about this one. It might have hit 2 sticks on the way. Follow the bouncing puck, certainly. They won the draw and backed up the shot. After that, let's watch it on the replay.
When you lose the draw directly in your own zone, you're asking for trouble. You can see the puck was nearly stopped by one stick, and it really only dribbled by Belfour. This is the perfect script for Scotty Bowman's Pittsburgh Penguins. Be outplayed, be out-hit, be out-hustled, but be ahead with 4 minutes to go in the period.
Pittsburgh goal is 6th in the playoffs, scored by number 92, Rick Topping. Assisted by number 25, Alex Stevens, and number 2,
Chicago. He kicked it loose. Now Samuelson tying him up. And Jim Pack takes over and shot it on the boards at the far side. Kept in by Chelios. Jocelyn Lemieux put it out front of the net. Peluso is covered. And it's kept in by Smith. Smith's pass. Pittsburgh all back there trying to cover up. Shell Samuelson cut the plate off the puck. Tocchet does not move it out. Now he chopped into center ice. Chelios again. Stopped at the Pittsburgh line. Shell Samuelson feeding it ahead for Mario Lemieux. A little too high by him. And that's icing called against Pittsburgh. 3:24 remaining in the first period, and it's 1-0 Penguins.
Tough to see how Tocchet really tipped that shot. There was no question about it, as Dick mentioned. It was hit 2 or 3 times. Take a look here at the top right part of your screen. There's the shot by Jim Pack. It hits the Chicago stick, then it hits Tocchet's stick, and then it dribbles aimlessly past Balfour. Tocquet's 6th goal of the playoff.
Game at 15:26. Tocchet from Stevens and Pack. Bill Bourque fell trying to sweep it out. Penguins clear it anyway. And another penalty in behind the play. Chicago were coming back to pick it up. And here's a Chicago penalty. So Pittsburgh, having killed off a couple of penalties of their own, now will have a man advantage.
Michel Goulet is complaining. He says that Phil Bourque held his stick. And that's what Keenan thinks, too. And he was trying to get his stick loose and pulled Phil Bourque down. And Koharski didn't see it. That's Keenan. Saw it. Referee, boy, it's a tough job. You know, it's the only occupation in the world where the highest accolade is silence.
Nobody notices what you do. You've done a good job.
That's right.
You know, this is kind of an interesting situation. Turnaround time. The Penguins hang in. They're outplayed. They score a strange goal right after it. They get a power play chance.
It's Francis, Yager, Stevens, Murphy, and Mario Lemieux. That's not a bad laugh with the extra man. And there's Lemieux getting it back. Francis a shot. Deflected wide of the net. Chelios ripped it on the boards, and it's cleared down the ice. Barrasso will lead the net to stop it for Murphy. Graham is watching him. Larner, the other penalty killer up front, as Murphy goes down. Stevens saw Smith coming at him with a hit. He got out of the way. Dirk Graham stayed onside. Coming in is Larner. And the shot by Graham was high and wide. Larner again. Fed it in there. Graham couldn't handle that pass. He was all alone. Pittsburgh's Kevin Stevens dropping it. That's poked away by Chelios, a fine play. Chicago short-handed, but boy, they keep coming at Pittsburgh. The Penguins lead 1-0 on Tocchet's goal with only 2:19 remaining in the first period.
Chelios and Mario Lemieux had words. Chelios chopped Lemieux and hit him very slightly in the face, and Lemieux comes roaring back at him. Now this is after, and then he fakes the chop. Chelios was ready for it. Lemieux didn't deliver it.
See Steve Larmer out there so much tonight, killing penalties. The aftermath, the game too, in the Chicago area, phone-in shows, the print press. Keenan's work on in the game on Thursday dominated things. The benching, they fought him, Rowan. Turns out now he may have been hurt. As we pointed on our telecast, the trainer was checking in his thumb. Larmer didn't play much. Chelios had lengthy stretches. Steve Smith lengthy stretches, and it was all Keenan. All Keenan in the news as the result of game 2.
Long discussion going on here. Koharski just talked to Scotty Bowman. Now he's moving down to talk to Mike Keenan. And I'm sure it's about the after-the-whistle antics of Chelios and Lemieux. And he's warning him probably here. If I see it, boys, I'm going to call it. And I'm nice enough to warn you about it. Now Koharski and Keenan are yelling at each other.
1 minute left in the penalty. Pittsburgh man advantage. Goulet is the Chicago player in the box. Mario Lemieux headed up. Stevens dropped it to Tocchet going in. Stevens is in front. The shot blocked. to Samuelson. Old Samuelson passed it off. Murphy shot deflected. Matto a chance to clear it, and he does. 35 seconds left in the penalty. 1:45 in the period. Pittsburgh 1, Chicago nothing. Tip to center for Stevens. Sutter chasing him in the Chicago zone. Smith comes in. So does Larmer. 3 Blackhawks. And it's Smith who backhands a high one to the line. It came out. Knocked back in. And that is onside with 15 seconds remaining in the penalty.
Again, Larmer gave Mario Lemieux a bit of a stick. And in comes Stevens, I believe, to Lemieux's rescue.
And again, Harry, that was the after the whistle contact that we think Koharski was warning the coaches about. What was it he told us, Don Koharski, Bob, the other night? This is only the second playoff game he's ever refereed in the Chicago Stadium.
Well, there's Kehoe, the assistant coach, and Scotty. Been a little nasty. Here's Brent Sutter planting one of those Alberta elbows in the face of Kevin Stevens. He's a wrestler there. And that's a fair-sized steer he's having.
Just under a minute and a half left in the opening period. Tocchet has scored for Pittsburgh. And they lead 1-0. Chicago shooting the puck down the ice. Goulet ready to step out of the penalty box. So Chicago has killed off that penalty. He's out now. A minute 10 left in the period. Chicago, great advantage territorially, but patient Penguins have the only goal. Chicago in there forechecking again. Yager saw Smith coming. Too late. Smith hooked it to the corner. Roenick is in there fighting for it. Knocked down. Here comes Larmer. Can't get a shot. Another penalty coming up against Pittsburgh. Chicago. And the last minute of this period will get another power play.
Well, Don Koharski sees what we see and probably what you at home see. A nasty game developing here at the Chicago Stadium. And when you see turnovers on the forecheck 2 or 3 times in one shift, you often see the team that's turning the puck over take a penalty. With 45 seconds left, the Penguins did just that.
Well, it's heating up here in Game 3. More of the same's on deck Monday evening, 8:30 Eastern Daylight. We'll provide you with the Penguins and the Blackhawks in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. And coming up in just about a minute, Don Cherry in the Coach's Corner in our first intermission.
There's Yager in the penalty box. That's a holding call against Jaromir Jagr.
Well, he tried to fend off a pinching Steve Smith and ended up grabbing him in the process. Here it is right here. See him grab Smith trying to walk out of the corner there from behind and took the penalty.
Roenick, Goulet, Larmer, Smith, and Chris Chelios for Chicago. 45 seconds left in the period. Chicago trying to tie it up before this one is out. Smith keeping it in at the blue line. Roenick winding up. Pass is off. Chelios on a sharp angle. Can't get a shot from there. Lemieux tied him up. Now it's passed back to Smith. His pass. Again to Smith. Shot this time. Deflected in front. And Francis picks it up and shoots it away for Pittsburgh. Only 20 seconds left in the period. Chelios. Belfour hollered at him. Move it quick. And he did. He got it up to center. And here's Goulet coming in with a shot. He's up high. Off the glass. 7 seconds left. Side of the net. Barrasso covers up with 5.6 seconds remaining in period number 1. 12-6 are the shots in favor of Chicago.
Harry, a different kind of a game, just the kind of stuff you talked about developing here. What causes this? You used the word desperate for the Blackhawks. They're maybe playing that way, and this crowd has to have something to do with it, the atmosphere in the building.
Well, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are standing up to Chicago physically, refusing to be pushed around. So you get those three things happening at the same time, and you get some tempers. And there, Michel Goulet rubbing the back of his head where he took a high stick.
So one more face-off, and this is a big one, as they say. Deep in the Pittsburgh zone to the right of Tom Barrasso. 5.6 seconds remaining in the period. And DeManto has gone over to the Chicago bench. And it's going to be Sutter will try to win the draw, I am sure. Larmer is to his left. Rolling to the right. Chelios parked just behind Sutter. And the puck comes back to Chelios. Time to move up. There's the pass, but it got away from Kravchuk. And the siren goes to end the first period here at Chicago. 13-6 were the shots on goal in the first period in favor of the Chicago Blackhawks. But the Penguins, who were so very, very patient, got the only goal of the period. Clock at 15:26. So the score after 20 minutes. Pittsburgh won.
Still mad at you? Yeah, Scotty, I was home, by the way, in Toronto yesterday, and people down at Bronte Harbor in Oakville thought you went a little crazy, but you were excited, so that's the way it goes.
Wait a minute. Whoa. We weren't even going to get into this. I don't understand it. He give you heck.
You know, and he's madder at me because I ended up telling you that he was unhappy that you were criticizing Yager.
He give you heck.
Yeah, but he was pointing out.
And I stick up for you.
He's sticking up for his player.
And at the end you say, I'm sorry.
Well, I was sorry for Scotty because his family's home in Buffalo watching. Sue Ellis here at the game in Pittsburgh. They shouldn't watch, and you're an adversary.
All right, let's go. Come on.
Boston.
You apologized enough. You've wiped the floor with yourself enough. Let's go.
No, I haven't wiped. You're the one that should apologize. Do you want that opportunity?
Let's go. You apologize is a sign of weakness. Let's go.
Okay, I'll go with that. You, Fort St. James, I promised you'd say hello to somebody there.
Jimmy Playfair's down here. Keenan wanted to count. Roxanne, going to have a baby at any time, and he's thinking of you all the time, and he wishes he was there with you, but Mike says...
Tim's coaching in Indianapolis.
That's $100 a game.
He came down to a game in Edmonton. He had nothing but a sweat-top, blue jeans, and Mike says, get on the plane. You're coming for the rest of the playoffs to be with us.
Well, Roxanne, hang in there.
Great luck for the family there. Now,
I'm a nice guy.
One other nice story. Yes, you're really moving up in the world. One other nice story. The Vancouver Canucks, in cooperation with a company called Art in Motion, have put together a promotion to raise money for two sources, Crime Stoppers and a hospice for terminally ill children. And there are two prints that they're going to be selling for $200 down in the Lower Mainland. One of Pavel Bure, the other is of Cliff Ronning, two of your favorites. Bure led all scorers among rookies in the playoffs with 6 goals, +4, an outstanding performance by Pavel. There's the print featuring Pavel Bure, and there's another called Cliff's Edge featuring Cliff Ronning of the Canucks. And Dale Cooper, the artist.
Yes, that is a great picture. And get out there and support the hospital.
All right. What about the game, Don?
Well, it's the old story again. You can see Pittsburgh up 2-0, loosey-goosey. See them this morning. By the way, a guy come up to me today that was on the ice with Chicago. I just thought of it now. And said, I love Coach's Corner TV. And guess who it was? I told you.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't know. You didn't guess.
Mr. Koharski.
Treychak.
Oh, Treychak?
Treychak come up to me. I was standing with Reggie Fleming. Remember the old tough guy? And he come up and he says, I love Coach's Corner. See, they love me all over. Anyhow, the game...
Don Koharski's dad said he liked the Coach's Corner the other night.
Good old guy.
Vladislav was on the ice this morning. Maybe that's why Eddie Belfour looks so good in the...
Oh, whatever it is. Loosey-goosey. They don't. We're up 2-0. Pressure. 3 goal posts. They've got to come back, and that's all there is to it. I like at the end, they finally had somebody in front of Barrasso. That's the one thing they've got to do. Forechecking, you can't do any more than they did.
1 minute. Wally Ronick's dad's here. What did he
1 minute?
We got 1 minute. So there are a couple of things.
Well, all right. Ronick, what a great guy. Gets his thumb broken, doesn't roll around, doesn't fall down, and the whole bit. And what a great guy. That's why everybody loves him.
Pat Burns.
Toronto. What a great guy. I knew Fletcher had something. I knew he was going to have a bomb because he didn't name anybody. Never dreamed a bomb like that. Pat Burns had to get out because I told you a long time ago that politically correct lineup was killing him. He told me he could not take it every press conference after him, and if I play this English guy, I got to play this French guy. He's there now. They've got now the best coach. They've got the best all-around player in the league, Gilmore, one of the best goaltenders, and finally, I'm going to get some competition for my suits and ties.
Absolutely. Toronto will never look so good. Go ahead.
One more thing. Get a haircut, Pat. That Pat Riley stuff doesn't go in Toronto.
Oh, no, it looked good. You looked sharp yesterday.
I thought you know.
Pat Burns, great news there, and a load of Roxanne Playfair, not to be confused with Fair Play in this installment of the Coach's Corner. Following our coverage from here at the stadium tonight, but we've got a hunch. Their phones in Halifax, like our ears in Chicago, are still ringing, so if you know the number, please help out. Now, upstairs to Bob Dickenhare.
Thank you, Ron. They've changed the scoring play of the Pittsburgh goal. Sean McEachern gets the goal from Stevens and Pack. It came at 15:26, 1-0. Pittsburgh leading after one period. Really, Chicago, Harry, had the better part of the play in the period, but couldn't buy one.
Well, statistically, they were ahead in almost all departments except the big one on the scoreboard. And, of course, that's the one that counts.
Stevens now, they tell us, got the goal from McEachern and Pack. So they finally got it right. Maybe. I think it was Stevens. And I'm sure it is now. Officially, Stevens the goal. 1-0. And 55 seconds left in the penalty to Pittsburgh. Chicago with a man advantage. Smith passing it right out of the stick of Francis. And he shot it away down the ice. 40 seconds remaining in that penalty to Yager. Roenick didn't handle it cleanly. However, he picked it up and skated away from his check. Here's Sutter. Sutter didn't shoot it. The crowd wanted a shot from him. Chicago passed it around, and that's what passed too many. And Phil Bourque just takes his time before rolling it into the Chicago zone. 20 seconds on the penalty clock. Chicago moving out. Brown coming to center. McEachern caught him. Steve Smith brought it in over the line with Green cutting to the corner. Green passed it back in front of the shot. Knocked down by Barrasso. Not cleared though. Shot in wide of the net. Penalty over right in front of Green. And he just missed. Chicago coming close. Pittsburgh, McEachern and Yager. Yager takes the drop pass. Dick Handles in front with a shot. Trying to fool Belfour, who was going the other way. But he missed the net with that low shot.
Well, the Blackhawks, who are now 1 for 11 in power plays in this series, couldn't get the puck by Tom Barrasso. They had a couple of good opportunities. Dirk Graham from the slot on a good shot that Barrasso stopped with his left arm. And then Steve Smith passed it in quickly to Larmer. There's the shot by Graham. They couldn't get it through. And here's the goal they've finally given to Stevens.
Watch Tockins. He's tied up by Steve Smith and did not get the stick out to touch the puck. It got by Belfour anyway. 3 power plays for Chicago tonight. 6 minutes worth. They've had 7 shots on those 3 power play tries.
Stevens gets his 12th goal of these 92 playoffs.
McEachern and Pack assisted on the goal. Now Roberts from the blue line. Shot is blocked. Gilbert just dropped in front of it and then knocked it away with his hand. Kuchera having to come back quickly against Yager. He strong-arms him, gets out front. The pass just by Herdina. Herdina on the boards. Put it into the corner. Yager there but lost it to Gilbert. Here's Hudson. Going in on Roberts. Hudson carried into the boards behind the net by Roberts. Chicago can't keep it in. Pittsburgh leading 1-0. 2 minutes into the second period. Larry Murphy back in the net, picking it up, and it's icing called against the Chicago Blackhawks. We'll be right back after this message.
Two Czechoslovakians battling for the Stanley Cup. Here, they're battling on a rush as Yager throws Kuchera aside and tries the wrap around them successfully.
And after the icing, the face-off to the left of Ed Belfour. Sutter won it. James Francis, Chelios picked it loose. Chicago, 3 men up to center. Graham couldn't pick it up. Comes off the boards right to Barrasso, and he scooped it up. Held it.
There's a newspaper map from Czechoslovakia covering the series, and it's got news conference this morning, was there any more questions? And he said, I'm from Czechoslovakia. Why aren't you playing Yuri Herdina more? So he's there to cover the Czechoslovakian player. He was concerned.
Well, there's Scotty. He was in a quiet mood this morning at practice, and then again I talked to him before the game tonight. He's one Stanley Cup away from a cold six-pack of cups.
And the first clinching cup win he had was in this building, 1973.
He's off to the left of the Pittsburgh net. Chelios pitching in quickly. Picked it up on the boards. Is tied up immediately. Kevin Stevens. And the Penguins get it off the boards and out. That is Green, who filled in for Chelios when he saw the defenseman going deep. So he got back. And Smith, the other defenseman, carries the puck out. It is intercepted near center ice, and Francis back in with Stevens. Here's Francis centering it. Dockett was there. Now the shot. Oh, it was off Chelios and nearly got in. Sutter lifted one down the ice. Chicago want to make changes. Out comes Barrasso. Gives it to Ed Samuelson. 3 Penguins on this rush. The center, the pass missed by Dockett. Smith had him lined up. Kravchuk shot a hard one. Wide of his own net off the boards, and Roenick is in there. Green coming up. Roenick! Picked out by Barrasso. And the puck is lifted over the glass, but Roenick is showing great speed tonight. Another great rush by him.
He may have shown us that his hand is pretty sore, though. He made a dazzling rush down the left wing, cut in past the Pittsburgh defenseman, but then got nothing on the shot. And here it is here from deep into the Chicago zone. He outraces Rick Tocchet. Watch him cut in, get that left leg out, and then watch the shot. Although he was hooked a little bit, in all fairness to him, from behind, and perhaps that's why he didn't get much on it. And here he comes from the reverse angle. This guy's a great skater. Barrasso made the save.
Kravchuk bouncing one into Barrasso, and they're going to do it all over again to the left of the Pittsburgh net.
Well, we said earlier, Steve Larmer, Jeremy Roenick, these kind of guys, Michel Goulet, they got to start potting a goal. At least tonight they're getting some chances and haven't had as much luck perhaps as they should have around the goal. But when your scorers aren't scoring and you're playing against a team that is as powerful offensively as the Penguins are, it's tough to beat them 2-1 or 3-2.
Shooting Pittsburgh nearly 3-1, 16-6 of the shots on goal now. Pittsburgh with the only goal scored by Stevens, 15:26 of the first. Pittsburgh up there again, intercepted at center, shot back in by Phil Bourque. Chero whipped a pass to the far side, and Chicago back out. Again, it's Larmer, stopped by Yager. Roenick hopping in there. Goulet back to the net. Can't make a play. Mario Lemieux takes it from him. A pass to the right side, in behind Yager. It's fired back in. Barrasso, way out of the net. Clear that one. The Blackhawks can't keep it in. It is Yager poking it up there for Bourque. Coming in with Lemieux. The pass hit Lemieux's skate. Now Yager digging it out. Got away. Yager out front. Oh, and a chance for Bourque. Band on it. He had the open side. In the other corner, Lemieux tied up, and he gets loose now in front of the net. Here's Lemieux. Got by him to the line. Stop. Pittsburgh turning it on now. Lemieux flattened, and there's going to be a penalty to Chicago. A cross-checking penalty against Larmer of the Blackhawks.
The show, got the place, gotta win. Go, go, go! They're at the post for the team for a race. Go, go, go! Got the horse, watch it fly down the stretch. Go, go, go! Go, go, go! Go, go, yeah! Put the fun back into winning act. A spin of all your doubts.
Steve Larmer gets the penalty for a cross-check on Mario Lemieux, but before that, as we see Phil Bourque going to the dressing terrific battle going on in the corner between Roenick and Mario Lemieux that Koharski was watching as the play went on. But the penalty came after Lemieux got away from Roenick, and that's one of those penalties I can never figure out why players do that with the referee even in camera range, Harry, right behind him.
Jaromir Jagr trying to walk out from behind the net. There's the great chance that Phil Bourque missed, but you're right, that was a foolish penalty by Larmer.
Pittsburgh is leading in a hockey game, 1-0. The series 2-0. And now they have another power play. And he'll come back to start it out. Larry Murphy and Francis are back there. Tocchet, Stevens, and Lemieux up front. Pass to Tocchet. To Lemieux, elbow the line. He stopped. Got it again. Poked it in. And Smith picked it up and cleared it right on the net. 1:20 left in the penalty. Their center, Tocchet, saw Stevens. He didn't see the pass. Tocchet again. And Lemieux takes it off the boards, comes in, sinks the shot. Back at goal, Murphy's high shot on the glass. And Chicago with a chance to clear it. Chelios makes no mistake. He wants to rush in with it. Chelios, the low shot, just missed. Rebound taken by Lemieux. He's tied up, but Tocchet isn't. Lost it though to Mattol. In with a shot, nowhere near the net. Here's Stevens. Passes one back. 40 seconds left in the penalty. Chicago doing a pretty good job again. While Pittsburgh has the man advantage and it's lifted over the boards. And the Chicago bench by Murphy. 37 seconds left in the penalty to Larmer.
I don't think Chicago could play any better, Dick. They've dominated this game with chances, with shots, with takeouts. They've given up. Mario Lemieux really hasn't had a good chance to score yet, and the score is 1-0. The problem now is when your team's playing that way and you don't get rewarded on the scoreboard from it, it gets tougher and tougher to keep it up. And Pittsburgh are just sitting back there, 3 men back, often 4, waiting for a turnover to pounce on it and get that second goal.
Shots on goal, 17-6. In this period, the Penguins with the power play and all still haven't had a shot. They played 6:01.
Chicago on that faceoff. Short stays in. Graham trying to get loose. He does. Trying to center it now. McEachern comes back for Pittsburgh. Sutter intercepted. Sutter stopped it with a skate on the boards. Only 20 seconds left in the penalty. Long shot is deflected. Graham after it. Pittsburgh trying to move it out. It's as if Chicago had the man advantage. But now, Samuelson and McEachern get together. McEachern shot. Look out! Came off Belfour. Dribbled in behind him and wide of the net. Penalty is over. Larmer out of the box. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Belfour out of the net. Chera. Pass along the left wing boards. Now Sutter skating to center. Into the drive. Rasso the save. Larmer has the rebound. Larmer centered it. Sutter twisting around. Heading away from Jagr. The shot from a sharp angle. Another penalty coming up. It's going to be against Pittsburgh. Chicago players lying all over the goal area.
Tales of ales and crawfish tails. This one's for me. Oh, Martha, go and open that Kelvinator door. There's a good time beer out there for me. It's Molson XL. It's quite swell, this XL. Rolls down easy, smooth and free. It's got that drinkability for taste beer drinkers can't put on hold. Molson XL, let the good times roll.
Stanley is one of the pleasant surprises for Pittsburgh in this playoff year. He gets an unpleasant message from Don Koharski. 2 minutes for holding on Steve Larmer. So here we go again with the Blackhawks getting a power play chance. Somewhere in there, the holding penalty was called.
The crowd is chanting, cheering loudly. What else is new here in Chicago? But they
it off again, Bob. There were 9 guys in the face-off circle by the time the puck hit the ice after Gauthier dropped it, and Koharski walked over and warned him the clock started, so Koharski's coming back to the timer's bench here. The minor officials are from Toronto and add 2 seconds. Kevin Collins watched the clock. He was the back linesman, and they're going to put it 1 back anyway.
Showing now 1:59. They'll get it up to 2 again and start this face-off to the right of Barrasso. And it's being explained to Scotty Bowman now.
I think
he agrees.
I think what they'll do, Bob, is they'll hold it for a 1 count and then start it because they have to take it right off the board. And I looked at the inside of the clock and the mechanisms they have practiced. It isn't easy to do.
No problem. Okay, we're set. And from this face-off, Chicago's Chelios pouncing on it. Kravchuk at the blue line. Just kept it in. But look what he does now. He lifts it high and it got over the glass. So they'll bring it outside for the face-off.
Well, Igor Kravchuk has been a nice addition to the Hawks. He's clearing the snow away. One of the reasons that puck went up into the crowd was that when it came around the boards, he raced over just where the players come off and on the ice out of the gate. And it doesn't take very long before there's some snow there with the players stopping to go in the door. And you can see where he's cleared it. And the puck was rolling out and he got a stick full of snow. He got this puck on it that was rolling and he threw it. Steve Latson, the equipment manager for the Pittsburgh Penguins, took Phil Bourque into the dressing room and I'm sure sharpened his skates.
Chicago moving on the power play. 1:45 left in the penalty. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Chicago on the puck in the Pittsburgh zone. On the boards near the line. It is Chelios losing it. Lemieux up there. Stick handled away from Larmer. Passed it in front. And the play was called back at the line. Offside. Lemieux had made that move before hitting the line, fooling Larmer, and he fooled his winger.
Do you think Larmer's heart wasn't in his throat when he looked up and was moving out to try and take the puck off Mario Lemieux? You got about as much chance of doing that as catching a mosquito between your finger and your thumb on a dark night. And there's what I mean. You can see the offside on the far side.
A minute and 30 seconds left in the power play. Chicago trying to tie it up here in the second period. For certain, they don't want to fall behind 3-0 in this best-of-7 series. It's all but curtains if they do. So here comes Chelios trying to do something about it. Ripped it in on the boards and Barrasso cleared it. Stopped by Larmer, but it's out over the line again and down the ice. Chelios had broken his stick. Pass by Belfour hitting Roenick. Now Kravchuk moved it up. Samuelson shot it away from Newman. Lemieux tossed it to center. Billboard racing in on Kravchuk. Kravchuk stayed with the man, allowing Larmer to come back to pick it up. Now, here's Newman. Pittsburgh were changing. A little bit of room for him as he goes in. But Roenick didn't know which way he was going to turn. Larmer back to Roenick. In along the boards, and again, it's Mario Lemieux there. And he shot it away. He's going off now. 35 seconds left on the power play. Pittsburgh now doing it to Chicago. Killing off this penalty. 25 seconds left on it. Chicago moving again. It is Smith, the defenseman. And he got the center before shooting it in. Francis there. And so for Chicago. Back to Kravchuk. And it's cleared out again by McEachran. Now the fans are getting more than restless. 4 seconds left in the penalty. Stanton ready to come on. And he's on now as Rob Brown passes one to the left side. Goulet going down. High shot. Nowhere near the net. And it ricochets all the way back inside the Chicago line. 1-0. Pittsburgh leading. Second period. Coming up to the halfway mark now. Half. He saw Yager. Yager in. Gets set. Oh, what a great save. Another rebound. And Belfour grabbed that one. And he hangs on to it. 2
intermission, pounce on it, and get the kind of chance that Yager just got.
And we'll be right back after this message.
Your Manitoba Ford Mercury dealer's got the right stuff for Canada's best-selling pickups. Now, get a trim a truck package worth up to $1,000 on compact Ranger and full-size pickups at no extra charge. This limited offer includes protective box liner, box rails, and running boards for the cab. A no-charge trim a truck package worth up to $1,000 plus great cash back.
We're Manitoba Ford and Mercury dealers, and we're winning the West.
See your Manitoba Ford Mercury dealer for your trim a truck package. They've got the right stuff.
Well, young Jaromir Jagr almost put the Penguins up 2-0. A neutral zone turnover right here. It's got by Samuelsson. He throws it, or Pack. He throws a nice pass to Jagr. Jagr has to hesitate to try and get around Marchment. He still backhanded it. And Belfour made a good save with his right pad, and then he made another one with his left pad to keep it at 1-0.
Belfour, remember that tying goal by Jagr on that same tight shot along the ice. He kicked out the right skate that time. Turned out to be a big stop indeed. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Armour shooting it in. Passo out, laid it on the board. Smith trying to catch him. Took the shot right away, but he missed the net. Here's Chelios, deflected in front, but look at that. Barrasso again saw it with two players standing right in front of him.
Well, Chris Chelios, I think, has been the Hawks' best player in these 92 playoffs. He leads the NHL defenseman in points with 19, and in the plus-minus department with a +19. He plays 35 or more minutes most night, and like all superior players in this league, he comes up with his best efforts when the Hawks most need it.
And he's playing his 121st playoff game tonight. That's tops on the Chicago team. His third Stanley Cup final appearance. He had 2 with Montreal. He's got a cup win on his belt notched. It was in '86 with the Canadiens.
I heard he called Serge Savard after the Pat Burns move and said, "Serge, what the heck's going on in Montreal last night?"
Sutter there for Chicago and Francis for Pittsburgh. These two have seen a lot of each other in this Stanley Cup final on these big face-offs.
Koharski's warned Matto and Stevens. I've given you one chance. I've given you a penalty if you stay out of that circle.
Chicago winning the draw. Chelios trying to get room for his shot. Ariel Lemieux nearly intercepted that to skate away. Matto. Center ice, and Chicago again had to be happy to be able to dump it in. Pittsburgh having them figured, they don't give them much room to carry it in. The Blackhawks move it up over center. Matto did not play it. He would have been offside. Smith shoots it in again. Stopped at the blue line. Here's Tocchet racing in there. Tocchet can't get a shot. And the play is stopped out on all these foul penalties. He doesn't have his arm up. Koharski, the Tocchet called down. Play call.
Harry, after the game the other night in Pittsburgh, Rick Tocchet's parents stopped me. Thank me for, on behalf of all of us, for the nice things we've said about Rick. Can't help but say nice things in this series.
Another neutral zone turnover on a careless shooting gives Tocchet this chance. And Brent Sutter's kind of lucky. He didn't draw that penalty you were talking about, Bob.
Nope, no penalty. Face off to the right of Belfour. Here's Roberts from the blue line. He likes not to shoot it, just put it into the corner. Stevens went over after it. But Chicago pick it up and get it out. Roenick takes it on a skate neatly. Comes in, Roenick passes back. Chelios can't get a decent shot. Puck was rolling. Tocchet again coming in there. Gets over in front. He fell. Sweeps it off to the corner. There's a penalty coming up against
average price of a car with standard anti-lock brakes is over $50,000. But safety doesn't have to cost a small fortune. Chevy Cavalier, Canada's lowest priced car with standard anti-lock brakes, helps you steer through dangerous curves and around obstacles under extreme braking conditions. And for a limited time, Cavalier comes with even more brakes, like $750 cash back and your choice of no-charge air conditioning or automatic transmission. Chevrolet Cavalier. Times change, values don't.
We were just talking about Chris Chelios. Now we talk about him getting a penalty. Pittsburgh Harry starting to get chances. He gets a slashing penalty. Stanton and Chelios go into the corner. Bit of a delayed call on the part of Koharski, but he made the call, and the Penguins get the power play chance.
It comes at 10:56 in the second period. Pittsburgh with the only goal in the hockey game. 15:26 of the first. Stevens got the goal from a Kecker and impact. And now another power play for Pittsburgh. And it's Murphy tapping it into the corner. Steve Smith is there. Pinned by Francis. The puck coming loose out in front of the net. And Belfour is down. He grabs it again. Stevens is dumped in front of the net. He's hurt. Might have been a high stick. We'll wait. Koharski has not moved nor made a sign. Not yet.
No penalty on that. He just told Stevens it was one of your own players' sticks. Let's have a look at it here. It may. Stevens did an awful twist and a turn. Hard to tell there. There it is. Sutter. Boy, that Sutter must have a great backhand if he can backhand Stevens 30 feet down the ice. Stevens is going to have to go off now because the trainer came out to see him. I'm not going to like that call either. The rule is if the trainer comes out to look at you, you have to go off at least for a second now. Stevens is still on, and maybe he's going to try and test Koharski on this one.
Hiding on that far side.
I thought Mike Keenan or someone on the hockey team would notice that and bring it to Koharski's attention. Stevens didn't like the taste of Sutter's stick, I guess.
No penalty. Call on the play. Face off again in the Chicago zone. 1 minute and 50 seconds. Only 10 seconds gone in the Chelios penalty as they line up for the face-off to the left of Belfour.
Lemieux went over to Stevens and said, now look, don't be retaliating. Gave him a little pat on the back of the helmet.
Here's Francis trying to kick it loose. It's kicked all right, but by the Chicago player to center. Lemieux backing up. Whipped the pass quickly to Larry Murphy. Stevens brings it up over the line. Stevens gets set. Shot it on the boards for Tocchet. Tocchet can't make the play. It's loose for Stevens. Drills one. Stopped by Belfour. He got the right pad on that shot. And Chicago clear it. 1:20 left in the penalty. Pittsburgh is leading 1-0. Here's Larry Murphy. Stick handles his way to the Chicago line and dumped it in. And the Penguins can't keep it in. Noonan trying to knock it loose. He had Larmer up ahead of him. There's Noonan. Tied up. Upended. The crowd's calling a penalty. But the play goes right on. And Stevens brings it out. Here's Mario Lemieux over the line. Shoots. Hot shot. And Belfour was sent away on that one. Back it goes to Larmer, and he cleared it. A good hard shot by Lemieux, but stopped by Belfour. 35 seconds left in the power play. Yager dropped it back right onto the stick of the Chicago player, Matteau, and he cleared it out. Now Kuchera back in the Chicago zone, being chased by Yager, who knocked him down. Yager poked it out front. It comes to the blue line. Stanton's pass. And now back to Samuelson. Shoots. He missed. 10 seconds left in the power play. Pittsburgh whip it around. On the boards. Lemieux tied up. Matteau whacked it high. And it got over the boards at the Pittsburgh bench, and only 3 seconds left of the penalty now.
Well, the Hawks again dodged the bullet with some pretty good penalty killing. And last night, in the only other hockey league that was still operating, the St. John's Maple Leafs took it on the chin from the Adirondack Red Wings, and one of the most amazing features of that series is, Bob, not one team won a home game.
That's a sad graphic.
I was just about to say, Harry, take a look at Bob. He didn't like your announcement.
That is true.
Now, who says Mary Lemieux cannot shoot the puck or will not shoot it? Here's a 49-footer that Balfour had to make a big stop on and I'm sure fell.
Mark Crawford and those St. John's Maple Leafs had a tremendous season.
Well, what about Barry Melrose?
First year, wait a minute, now let me finish for once. The first year in the American Hockey League, going all the way to 7 games in the finals. All Barry did for you, well, he won. 7 minutes remaining, second period. 1-0 is the score. Pittsburgh and Yager is coming up. Can't move around. At last man, Steve Smith, and then Yager take it in on the boards. And the Blackhawks get it out. 6 minutes and 45 seconds left in the period. And the net off the pegs in behind Barrasso. That was Larmer who came storming in. And Stanley talking to him.
Over the last 35 years, why have so many people come to Speedy Muffler Paint? Maybe it's because of really great value, like our $99.95 front disc brake package. Maybe it's because they trust Speedy's guaranteed parts, professional work, and licensed brake mechanics. And now, for a limited time, you'll get a free Rubbermaid toolbox with your brake purchase. Professional work, a great deal on brakes, and a free toolbox. No wonder over 10 million customers have come to Speedy. At Speedy, you're a somebody.
This date in history, significant one, gentlemen, May 30th, 1979, and the coach in our coach's corner, moved from Boston. Well, they'd already moved him out of Boston, but he was named head coach of the Colorado Rockies, and Blue and Don quickly posed for a picture that was on the Colorado Rockies press guide the following season.
He packed 4 fans into that building, and the team did, they tell me. 6:42 to play in a period. Chicago still looking for their first goal at home in the Stanley Cup final. Boy, Pittsburgh seems to have the number of the Chicago Blackhawks.
You know, Don talking about Tretiak, saying to him how he watched Coach's corner. My question is this how Tretiak is trying to learn English?
Well, he spent a lot of time out there with Waite and with Hassan after practice. And Bob Pulford was telling me that the 3 goaltenders really thrive on Tretiak's instructions. So whatever language he's using, he's getting the attention of these 3 people that he's supposed to have.
Pack couldn't clear it by Brown, but Pack will come back. And Rob Brown rubbed him on the boards behind the net. Brown tied up, trying to chase it in the corner. Jim Pack again. Lost it. Chicago forechecking with authority now. But here's Pack intercepting and getting it ahead for Trottier. The Blackhawks shoot it back in. At the blue line. Marchman had it jump over his stick. Look at Belfort. He's 50 feet out of the net and was bumped by Trottier and fell. He's back in now. Out again. Got back in for a long. Shot it back at the goal of Marchman. And Marchman had to shoot it down the ice. That will be icing unless Barrasso plays it. He does not. Icing is called against Chicago.
Both these goalies are very acrobatic. They love to come out and stop shootings and grab pucks and make passes. And they both have an amazing number of errors, or few errors, because in this rink, everyone's a little closer to you.
And Belfort in the pregame skate, I wonder if he's a goaltender when he's not on the nest does as much skating before a game as he does. He just goes round and round and round.
Well, it's a great help to have a goaltender who can come out in this kind of a building, especially, and stop shoot-ins and make that outlet pass. You know, they get into trouble with everybody when they make a pass to the wrong team, but that's a 1 in about 30 for these guys. They're both strong assets to their team on the breakout. Rolnick just warned Belfort that Lemieux might shoot.
it at center. Had to shoot it in. Didn't quite make the play he wanted. That's Goulet, and here's Roenick. Larner can't get a shot. Had a chance to drive on. He was about 25 feet. And Barrasso had a little problem with that roller.
Well, there is Tretiak, the Soviet great. Hall of Fame and our Canadian Sports Hall of Fame and the Hockey Hall of Fame as well. Jack Davison sitting alongside of him, shaking his head.
What do we have to do to score, he said.
Right.
I remember Tretiak when you used to do that to Canadian teams or NHL teams in those great Super Series.
The crowd getting into it again. Please. A goal. Here's Kuchera trying it. He missed. And Kravchuk has to come all the way back. 5 minutes remaining in the second period, and it's still 1-0. A first period goal by Kevin Stevens. Pittsburgh leading Chicago. Chopped out of the zone and down the ice. Kravchuk coming back. They'll call it icing against Pittsburgh. 4:46 to play. Shots are 18-11 now. Favor of the Blackhawks.
Camry's body design.
Toronto Maple Leafs, Pat Burns and I chatted yesterday. You'll hear that, plus the best of Mario Lemieux, his greatest goals of all time, coming up at the end of the second period here at Chicago Stadium.
We'll have a bit of time for that one.
Well, I admire the Hawks. They're playing the same way they did when they started the game, and they are frustrated. I'm sure they can't get a goal, but they haven't changed.
Penguins win the draw, and Lemieux comes out. Two players up there with him. Passed in front and offside. Called back at the line. It was Trottier on the left wing.
Brian Trottier has been used a lot tonight by Scotty Bowman to take face-offs in the Pittsburgh zone. Ron Francis is the other center that Scotty goes to, but I don't think Francis is having as much success against the Hawks as he did against the Boston Bruins, so we see Trottier a few more times. Fourth in the all-time playoff scoring point race with 184 points. He just slipped by Mr. Anderson of Edmonton, and now the Leafs.
And 39 seconds remaining in the second period. First period goal by Kevin Stevens, 15:26. And it wasn't what you call a pretty goal. A shot from inside the blue line, hit a couple of sticks. The last one belonging to Stevens. But Keckern got an assist. It was Jim Pack who got the other assist, and it was he who took the shot from the blue line.
Keckern, Rob Brown, Menzie. One and the other before the puck was dropped.
Koharski's warned the players a number of times about doing this on face-offs, not very often in the neutral zone. And now he's talking to Brown. Now he's going over to get some water in his whistle. He broke his whistle. He's Skip Sayer gets a laugh out of that one. There it is. The old whistle's working. Let's get on with the game.
We've got Roberts being waved out. He came on late, I guess.
Scotty tried to sneak him out there while the confusion about Mr. Koharski's whistle was going.
And Old Samuelson is on. Penguins shoot it in, and they change very quickly. 4:30 left in the period. Chelios has Lemieux chasing him. Green couldn't get the pass. Lemieux tucked it back to the blue line. Now stopped by Chelios, and he played it ahead. Sutter is up there with Brown. Sutter trying to beat Murphy on the rush along the boards, but Murphy stayed with him all the way and now pins him. And now Sutter gets loose. Comes back near the line. Nobody was back there, so he put it up behind the net. Here comes Chelios pinching in. And it was chopped down the ice by Stevens. Lemieux stole it. Comes in with the pass to Murphy, but in front of him. Chicago. Ron Brown played it on
this evening and has the same results. This one's a little clearer. Marchment can't catch him. Tocchet looks up and then fakes the shot and then loses the puck. And Chicago had a great chance as well. And Tom Barrasso came up on a long pass. And Larmer makes that little move from his right to his left to give him some daylight, but then can't get it by Barrasso. And then finally, Trottier shoots it from 31 feet out, and Belfour makes the save just as Yager was going to chip it in.
Yager had danced around the net then, eluded two Chicago defenders, and it tested Belfour again. 2:44 left in the period. It's still 1-0 Pittsburgh. First period goal, Kevin Stevens. And it has stood up so far. Face off to the right of Belfour. Hudson. And Francis tied up. Rob Brown had to play it in a hurry. Got it as far as the line. It's kept in. Chicago trying to move it out. It's Hudson to center. Up over the Pittsburgh line, and Bork got back. McCutcheon has that speed and going in. On the backhand, he's tied up by Kravchuk. He centered it. Nobody could reach it. Kuchera back out with Hudson. Hudson on the blue line, shot it in. Noonan going after Pack. Pack sidestep Noonan. Kuchera pinching in against McCutcheon, who nailed it out to center ice. The Blackhawks can't keep it in. 2 minutes remaining in the period. Two teams are changing now as Kravchuk starts this rush. The pass too far for Peluso, and that is icing against the Chicago Blackhawks.
Tom Peluso hasn't played very much in this period. Brown has played a lot more as the Hawks are looking for a little offense. I'd be a little concerned that Chelios and Smith are getting a little tired. They both made unusual giveaways here in the second period. And at practice this morning, as I mentioned earlier in the show, Chicago had a very stiff morning practice by game day skates. And Chelios and Smith were out there as every other Hawk was. And you have to wonder, when they start playing 35 minutes a night, do they need that morning skate that they had a game and missed their 100-and-something game? I know they both have great endurance, but there is a limit. Chelios played 12 minutes and 54 seconds in the first period, so it's going to be 37-38 minutes in a game where one mistake could cost you the game.
Listen, they've been doing that every second night when you think about it for quite some time now.
That's my point about the morning practice.
Oh, boy. Well, Barrasso steps out. Stops it. Penguins up to Mario Lemieux, and he takes over at center ice. Brings it over the line. Cruising in there. Flip one in. And Belfour had difficulty with that one. A very weak shot just thrown at the net by Lemieux, and he juggled it.
Crowd here tonight, 18,472.
Used to announce in Chicago
16,666. Remember that? There were 20,000 people in the building, but that was the fire log. We're going to take a look at that shot by Mario. William Wirtz, who was never known to challenge Bob Hope, said at the All-Star dinner in 74, he said, we have a great city, we have a great team, we have a great mayor, and we have a great fire commission.
And they're going to get out of this great rink in 2 years. What a sad day that will be.
Manteau for Chicago. Chelios. Ahead it goes to Grant, and he shoots it in. Sutter was up there. Picks it up back to the net. Got a pass back. Chelios shot. That hit the stick of Mario Lemieux. Off it goes to the corner. Centered again, but tipped back by Sutter. And Smith couldn't reach it. You heard it. We're in the final minute of the second period. And Sutter moves in. Murphy will pin him on the boards. Murphy slapped it to the line and stopped. Smith winding up. Shooting. The rebound is there, and so is Mario Lemieux. They shot it out. 40 seconds remaining in the period. Pittsburgh changing. 1-0. The Penguins are leading. Stevens. Make sure that Chelios can't get loose. Now Tocchet is in. So is Francis. Tocchet backhands it toward the net. 25 seconds left in the period. Chelios the skate of Roenick. He's in after it. Standing back there. Roenick hit him. Roenick trying to center it. 15 seconds left. Farmer's high blast. Goes off the glass. Chalio shot it back to the net. Hawks pressing. 7 seconds left. Pittsburgh hanging on. And Bork kills the clock by shooting it up to center ice. Catherine brought it in as the siren goes to end the second period. And two-period shot total is 19 by Chicago and 14 by Pittsburgh. First period goal by Stevens. That's it. So the score after two. Pittsburgh 1, Chicago nothing.
Pat Burns, we're live into the Chicago telecast this evening, but this is yesterday from Toronto, where you've just come from Montreal. I imagine it's been a pretty exciting 24 hours. Tell me about it.
Well, it's been a pretty, I guess, moving 24 hours because everything went on this week, and when I left Montreal this morning, a bit brokenhearted, but I came into Toronto just raring to go.
Yeah, when you flew away from the city, what went through your mind? What were the sweetest moments that you recalled, and what can you reflect upon?
Well, I have a lot of great memories in Montreal. It was a great 5 years in that organization, and I think it became time for me and for the organization, and it would be best for everybody that I did move on. And I think that if there's one place everybody says, well, why would you go from one hockey mecca to the other? I guess it's because I like it, and I think coming here in Toronto, I'm excited about it. I like Cliff Fletcher. I like the way he thinks. He's got this boat turned up the right way, and I guess I'm on the boat too, and if we can get 20 little sailors every night to be working hard, we should do all right.
Dick Irvin Jr. will be upstairs smiling about a man who's gone from one of the great Canadian cities to the other. As you move into Toronto, everybody knows there might have been other possibilities, such as Los Angeles. Speak about why you chose Teal.
Well, I think it's part of the original six. It's part of the same kind of hockey mecca as Montreal, where everybody talks hockey and thinks hockey, and that was important to me. I think being brought up as a young Canadian boy, that to have that feeling, and it makes you a much better coach, and it makes his team probably a bit better too, and we're going to try to make the Maple Leafs a better team than it was.
It's been a long way watching all the Hull Olympics play for the Chicago Blackhawks, whom you coached. You never thought you'd coach both the Canadians and the Leafs, I'm sure.
Well, I think Dick Irvin Sr. went the other way, and I've come from Montreal to Toronto. He went from Toronto to Montreal, but it's a funny feeling right now. It'll probably sink in a week from now or whatnot, but I just wish we were starting tomorrow morning, and I wish we were in those Stanley Cup playoffs right now.
And now that you're here, you can straighten grapes out too on a more regular basis. Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you very much.
Ironically, it was 1 year ago during the Stanley Cup final that Cliff Fletcher grabbed the headlines with his decision to leave the Calgary Flames. Now, 24 hours ago, he addressed the acquisition of Burns.
When we were in a position of looking for a coach, we obviously wanted a top-notch man, and we were prepared to be patient to wait to see if any developments unfolded in any city that had a top-notch coach. And when Don Meehan called me on Wednesday and suggested that Pat Burns may be available, did we have interest? It only took us 24 hours to make a deal.
40-year-old Pat Burns, the 1989 NHL Coach of the Year, set to go to work at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Here at Chicago Stadium, it's the Pittsburgh Penguins by 1. Their star, Mario Lemieux, and his greatest goals all time. Coming up next as our coverage of the Stanley Cup Championship continues in a moment. The stadium's a building where Glenn Hall became famous for pregame nausea and great goaltending, and we thought in this intermission you'd enjoy a few current goalies who felt sixes to their stomach.
Look at this. Mario Lemieux coming to center, trying to fool Bork, and does! Look out! Scores! Have you ever seen
Glenn Miller's In the Mood, but really it's Mario Lemieux's String of Pearls. 15 goals in these Stanley Cup playoffs, 4 shy of the record for one playoff year, 43 now in his career. It's Pittsburgh leading 1-0. More on Molson Hockey Night in Canada and the Stanley Cup playoffs in a moment.
Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
Poor Gilles Gilbert, and you wonder why Don Cherry has it in for Scotty Bowman. Guy Lafleur in the goal that tied Game 7 of the semifinal in 1979. Lambert scored in overtime. The Canadians won the series and went on to meet New York and won the Stanley Cup. Here in Chicago, if you've got a ticket, you can barge right in, and 17,000 plus have been treated to a great game so far. Third period action next as our coverage of the Stanley Cup continues on Hockey Night in Canada.
Grand old building, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are just 20 minutes away now from taking a 3-0 lead in the series. Chicago have other ideas about that, I'm sure, but it's 1-0. Pittsburgh going into period number 3. Chelios ripped it in right off the bat. Chicago on it. Matzo stick handles in front and lost it. Tocchet cleared the zone. There's Stevens coming up over the line, and he stopped. Woody Roberts fading all the way back. Lost it in front of the net, but Barrasso, ever alert, cleared it. Now Roberts shot it away to Tocchet. Tocchet and Smith buck together. Tocchet backhands it in over the Chicago line. Dirt Green and center ice and just rolled it in. The two teams are changing very quickly. Tocchet eluding the Rob Brown hit. Laid on the boards at the far side by Kravchuk. And Pittsburgh back to pick it up. There's Hudson racing after Bill Bourque. Noonan hit him. And the puck is taken by Murphy. McEachern nailed by Kucherov. Francis, a pass to the line. And old Samuelson shot it up over the line off Bourque's stick. McEachern coming in, stopped it with a skate. McEachern again, put it out in front of the net. And Belfour pushed it ahead. Brown got it out to center ice, and Noonan rolled it in. A minute and a half into the third. McEachern lost it at the blue line as he tried to clear it with a skate. Goulet is hit on the boards. Larmer centered it right in front of the net. And Roenick had a great chance. Went off the heel of his stick, I think. Roenick set up very close. Larmer again with Roenick turning at center. Roenick is going off. And out comes Belfour as Smith gets back with Chelios. Chelios to the right wing. Goulet for Larmer. Pass is just not clicking onto the skates rather than the stick. Now Chelios comes up, poked at it. Penguins get it up to center ice. Yager trying to race in on Smith. Yager beats him to it. Yager stealing it. Put it in for Loney around the net. Tried to wrap around, and Belfour stopped him. Yager and Lemieux. Lemieux got it back. Pat shot. That one, a weak one and wide. Yager again. Smith carried him in the corner. They hold it. Now Yager is knocked to the ice. Loney comes out front and tried to jam it in. And the play is called. He stopped the play as Yager got close along with Loney.
In a community that has witnessed a total eclipse of the sun every Saturday for nearly 12 years, a new Saturday sun has arrived and changed people's lives. For the better, they tell us.
I think they've done something very interesting. They've made Saturday's paper bigger than Sunday's. And it's still 50
When you
cents.
open it up, it doesn't take up a lot of space if you're on a bus or in a restaurant.
We like the TV listings because we've got kids now, and the Sun has the most complete movie listings in town.
My, oh my, Saturday's paper.
Chicago's number one forward, Jerry
third period. Manteau trying to get in there. Again, he had to shoot it with the Penguins lined up at the blue line. Manteau chasing Roberts. Lemieux takes it out, gives it to Murphy. Tocchet with his line with Lemieux, Tocchet, and Stevens. Tocchet stopped it back to the net. Now it's Lemieux to the line. The drive doesn't get through. It was blocked by Green. Murphy got that in time to stop Manteau. The Blackhawks shoot it down the ice. That'll go right on the net. And they got a chance to change. Tocchet missed it. Mitch Larmer backing up. Again, a missed pass. Stanley in for Pittsburgh off the blocker of Balfour. 1-0 Pittsburgh. And they're nearing the 4-minute mark of the third period. And that is icing against the Chicago Blackhawks. Tonight's game is coming to you from Chicago.
You have to like this stat for the Hawks in the playoffs. What about getting a goal in the third period? Tonight they need one in the worst way. And I can see the game slowly shifting to Pittsburgh as they seem to have more energy than do the Hawks tonight.
Francis won the draw, tried to get it back. But then Gilbert got a stick on it. Stanton whipped the pass back to Old Samuelson. Kravchuk stopped it at center. Gilbert tried to move in. And Kuchera was the only one back, and he cleared it. Ron Brown saw Noonan, couldn't get on the puck. And here's Francis with McEachern. McEachern coming in on with the brakes. And then it's tied up. Kravchuk just carried him in on the boards. Gilbert out. Right wing pass to Noonan, who shot it in. Shell Samuelson. McEachern lifted a high one down the ice. And the Blackhawks come back as the Penguins are changing. Pass ahead to Ron Brown. He poked it down the ice. Larmer is in there against Loney. Chicago has to play it. They do. But then Yager steals it. Skates back out. The pass. Back to the line. Shell Samuelson drilled it. And there's Balfour again. Right on the spot to take that shot.
Well, the Hawks starting to get caught. Or odd man rushes through the neutral zone against them. And here I'm talking about right here, a four-man rush, nicely executed. Samuelson, 23, is the fourth man in the rush. And he tests Balfour with about a 30-footer. Balfour made the save, but the Hawks, in their determined attempt to make the Penguins turn the puck over in the forecheck, are getting trapped trying to do it.
Well, you mentioned earlier, Harry, they're playing a good hockey game, but they're short on the scoreboard by one goal. 1-0. The only goal by Stevens in the first period in 15:26. And the Blackhawks can buy one. They have one off the post. Chelios now. Rasso, the low shot. Made that save easily.
Brent Sutter's another guy, Dick, that you mentioned when we talked about the apparently tiring off team. This guy's played a lot of hockey. You know, he's not a smooth skater. He doesn't take an easy stride. He's played a ton. He's not a big, strong guy. And you wonder if he's starting to wear down a little bit.
Well, he's got the added mental burden, I guess you could say, Harry, of covering Mario Lemieux. That would tire you out for sure.
Give me a headache. If nothing else, puck over the boards at the Pittsburgh bench.
To frighten the crowd, the amazing thing is it's taken that long.
Well, the thing is, too, that we all know, anyone who's played this game, it's a lot easier to get tired when you're down 1-0 in a series if you're down 2-0.
Well, I'll tell you, the Hawks may be down in this series, but they're up in the television ratings. Game 1 is the highest rating ever for a Blackhawks game on the Sports Channel cable station that they're seeing here. Number 3 overall that night in Chicago, behind only 2 free television shows, Miracle Landing and Jack's Place. 2 of Harry's favorites. He always hates to miss them.
Trotze and Yager get together to flip it into the Chicago zone. The Blackhawks come out. Roenick's pass to center, and Goulet moving up over the line. Knocked down by Yager, shot it into the corner.
2:33 left in the third period. 1-0 Pittsburgh.
That's him. This is Lou Varga, the longtime trainer with the Hawks. His son Johnny played junior hockey in the WHL for the Tacoma Rockets. He's eligible for the 92 draft. Supposed to go in the 3rd or 4th round. Lou, quite proud father to say the least. He got lots of his hockey training practicing with the Hawk players as he grew up here in Chicago. It's a nice story for a Chicago boy.
Jocelyn Lemieux with Rob Brown and Noonan for Chicago now. Murphy skipped away from Noonan. Went crashing into the boards. Rob Brown went in there. The puck in the corner, and Lemieux tried to knock it loose from Gordy Roberts, who fell on it.
Last time the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup, much advertised, of course, 1961. Don Cherry mentioned seeing Reggie Fleming in the building this morning. Reggie was on that team. Another fellow who was on that team, who was a brief visitor to the practice this morning, Stan Mikita, who looks like he could step out and play. I guess it's named for Reggie if he admits it. But Stan says, another member of that team was Bill Hay, who was the president of the Calgary Flames. 1961. Harry, that's a long time between drinks from the Stanley Cup month, but it's the only win this franchise has had in 54 years. And there's Stan's number 21 retired, along with Tony Esposito's number 35, Glenn Hall's number 1, and Bobby Hull's number 9.
Sutter on there again for Chicago. Maxwell to the left and Grain to the right. Pittsburgh now protecting a 1-goal lead as they near the 7-minute mark of the third period. Sutter flipped it in. They're offside.
Fans starting to get on the Blackhawks, Harry, a little bit here. They just don't have it going. They have not had a shot in this period, which is now 6:24 gone.
Well, they live off the shoot-in and the forecheck, and the Pittsburgh Penguins, a great strategy against that. The defensemen just get it and dump it out into the neutral zone, and the forwards are heading in to cause a turnover in the neutral zone. And so there's nothing fancy about it. They're not looking for the clever breakout. Scotty Bowman, one of the master innovators of the game, told me that he's looked at some Minnesota North Star tapes of last year in the playoffs, and the North Stars seemed to do such a good job against the Hawk forecheck. He came up with the idea that seems to be working for him now.
Here's Steve Smith. Smith against Lemieux at center, rolled it ahead, and it is Lemieux coming back. Take the shot, Tocchet is with him, he takes the pass. Low shot, turned aside by Belfour, back in front to Lemieux, turns, shoots it in, and Belfour decides he better hang on to it this time. Stevens was right there. It was Stevens who has scored the only goal of the game, 15:26 of the first period.
Mario Lemieux reached 1,000 points in 513 NHL games. Only Wayne Gretzky has got to this milestone faster, 424 games. He leads the NHL playoffs in points with 31. He has 5 game-winning goals, and I've come to the conclusion that the Hawks really have to outplay the Pittsburgh Penguins by about 15 or 20% in a game, or this guy will win it for them.
Social note. Mario announced tonight in an interview on La Soirée de Hockey he's being married in Montreal, June 26th, 1993.
He's got the whole thing planned out, hasn't he?
Jell Samuelson shot. That came close. It went over the shoulder of Belfour, the outside of the post. Puck is knocked to the line. Yager on it, knocked away from him. Offside has been called.
He just hopes the playoffs are over next year by June 26th.
The 84 games, 2 new teams. He may be right, going right from the rink in his uniform to the church. The Hawks are almost out of gas here. They can't get to the puck after they shoot it in. They can't seem to penetrate over the Pittsburgh blue line in control of the puck. The fans smell it. The players know it. So do the Penguins. They need a break.
Belfour stepping out. Marchman center. Lots of time to move it. Sutter right in front of the net for Bork. Now Bork got a piece of it, contemporary around the net. Tied up back there. Chicago moving on again. It's Brown shooting one down the ice. Now it's getting rough. Lemieux ran into his man heavily. Brown back in the goal, centered it. Lemieux just missed it. And diving was Bork. And that cleared it. Kuchera beating it ahead. Lemieux, Newland, and Brown going off. They had a couple of chances on that shift. Chicago now trying to pull out all the stops. They're trailing 1-0. Here's Mantone backhanding the puck along the boards. Gets another crack at it. And then lost it to Lemieux. And Mario dumped it to center to Tocchet. Tocchet coming up, broken up at the line. Tocchet gets it again. Pass over to Stevens. Tocchet going for the net. The pass ahead of him though. Good brain for Chicago. Here's Sutter. His pass a good one. Chelios on the rush. In with Mantone. He dumped it toward the net. Kicked away by Barrasso out of the zone. We're nearing the halfway mark of the third period. It's still 1-0 Pittsburgh. Dave Smith taking the shot in from center ice. That's Larmer in the corner. Falling. Puck is loose again though. Near the line. Chelios in front of the net. Turning shot. Kicked out by Barrasso. Goulet turning and letting a shot fly. Penalty coming up. An interference call in behind the play. And it's a penalty against Pittsburgh. Impact.
This hour's something else till you make the time. Yeah. Real life is the bottom line. Cold and clear, be afraid to. When you're done doing what you do. Old beer, clear, cold, real life beer.
The stadium's noisy again. It took the Hawks 10 minutes to get their first shot on goal in this third period. 5 seconds later, Jim Pack gets called for interference, and they're on the warpath in the seats at the old Chicago Stadium.
And a very big face-off coming up to the left of Tom Barrasso. All standing here in Chicago, and here's the draw. But it's Mario Lemieux on the puck right away, and he shot it out over the line. Chicago bringing it back in. Into the crowd, this one off his stick. It's still 1-0 Pittsburgh. And now a power play Chicago.
In the last 6.5 periods of this series, the Pittsburgh Penguins have outscored the Chicago Blackhawks 8-2. And when you score 2 goals every 6.5 periods, you're not going to win very often. But the fact remains tonight, they're still only down by 1.
Well, this is it now. You have that feeling for sure. I know this crowd of over 18,000 has that feeling that maybe, just maybe, somebody can knock one by Tom Barrasso. They've only had 18 shots in the hockey game, but they have a big power play opportunity here in the third period with 9:45 left. Now the Pittsburgh penalty killers, Lemieux, Francis, Murphy, and Old Samuelson. The Chicago power play. Sutter, Larmer, Roenick, Kravchuk, Chelios. Let's see how this works. The crowd anticipating maybe a scoring play by the Blackhawks here in Game 3. Pittsburgh winning the first 2 at home.
Chelios coming to the linesman to say that Ron Francis has to have his helmet done up. Maybe he needs a little longer rest. Chelios has played a ton of hockey. Koharski's now telling Scotty Bowman he has to change players. And there's Sutter complaining about the delay here. Ron Francis' helmet's ready to go.
Blackhawks getting it in. Knocked down at the line by Larmer. Backhands it toward the corner. It's cleared immediately by Murphy. Kravchuk got it back for Chelios to Kravchuk. Up to center, lost it. Francis poked it down the ice. Minute and a half left in the power play, and Chelios just takes his good time going back. Now he mishandles it. The puck comes to center, and Roenick has to back up now. Here's Chelios in with a shot. Rasso the save. In the corner, Larmer and Sutter trying to get it off the boards. Alt Samuelson ripped it on the boards and got it by everybody down the ice. 1 minute gone in the penalty. Chicago without a shot on the net. The exception of that long one by Chelios. Chelios remains on. Comes up with the puck. Pass ahead. Manteau stopped in his tracks. Blackhawks can't get anything going. The kicker up there to bother Kravchuk now. It is Noonan bringing it in. Hopping in along the boards. Got in as far as the corner. Now trying to center it. It's in the mesh in behind for Rasso. 28 seconds left on this power play.
Daryl Sutter on the left and Mike Keenan on the right. Haven't enjoyed this game as they see their team sinking into submission here. They were very strong in the first period, not quite so strong in the second, and they haven't shown much energy here in the third.
A strange statement by Daryl Sutter, considering the timing, Harry, when he said just prior to the start of this series that if he is not the head coach here in Chicago next year, he'd prefer to be working somewhere else as a head coach. Yeah, right, exactly.
He might see those jobs disappearing as he peers out of his playoff situation, and he'd like to get his mitts on one of them. He can't very well do that while his team's still alive.
Roenick is on again to take the face-off. Noonan remains on. Ron Brown is on now for Chicago, and Chelios is still there. Chelios to Brown. He's got a good shot. Block, rebound. Noonan couldn't get one by Barrasso. Ron Brown again to Chelios. Hopped over his stick and out of his own. 10 seconds left in the penalty. Chelios hit Lemieux with the pass. 5 seconds left in the penalty. That'll do it. Chicago unable to score in the power play. They're even strength now. As Pack is out of the penalty box. Back to center. Rob Brown. Pass ahead. Stopped by Pack. Into Trottier. He gave it away. Noonan turns back for Chicago. Going up over the line. He has a breakaway ready to goal. And Barrasso stopped him cold. The Blackhawks can't keep it in. Great chance, but Barrasso brilliant. Hawks come in again. Noonan once more had to go to the boards this time. Gordy Roberts, frame after him. And it's Murphy kicking the puck ahead and skating with it now. 3 Penguins on this rush. Here's a shot gloved by Belfour, and we have 7 minutes. And 11 seconds remaining in the third period. It is 1-0 Pittsburgh.
Who can you count on to help make your family budget go further? Count on Chrysler. With Dodge Spirit and Plymouth Acclaim, you get a 6-passenger family sedan equipped the way you like it. With air conditioning, automatic transmission, stereo, and a whole lot more. Now, for a limited time, all for $12,999, including $1,250 cash back. Or choose 5.9% financing over 48 months. Go ahead. Dare to compare Spirit Acclaim to Corsica and Grand Am. Advantage. Chrysler.
Tom Barrasso has been very strong in goal for Pittsburgh tonight, especially in the first period. And here's an example of how he's played. Brown from the top of the circle rips one, and Noonan can't bury the rebound. It gives you that feeling some goalies give you that you're not going to get one on.
24 shots now by Chicago in this hockey game.
2 minutes and 15 seconds. Tom Barrasso has barred the net.
1-0 Penguins. Pocket goaltender. Moves it out to the left side. Up to center ice. Penguins keep checking the Chicago Blackhawks now. Everybody doing his job. Blackhawks don't get much room to maneuver. And mostly it's out between the two blue lines. Stanley on the boards. Kucherov pinching in. But the Penguins get it out. Shot back in. Barrasso missed it. They are changing on the fly. And the puck goes all the way down the ice. Smith back. To Larmer. Larmer got it on the boards ahead. Roenick's pass went back. And Larmer was dumped by Shell Samuelson trying to go in. Here's Chelio stopping it. Takes a low shot. Blocked in front by Samuelson, and the Penguins are on the move again. And Tedford in there. Fired a shot across in front of Belfort to the far side. 6 minutes left in the third. Chelio's trying to do it. Put a shot in on Barrasso, and that's no problem. He gloved it.
You know what he tried to do there? He faked the shoot into the corner and put it on the net, hoping Barrasso would leave the net to get the shoot in.
You can go as far as your heart can see, beyond any road that you want to be, 'cause it's your day.
Good stops. Barrasso has made 4 of them. He's made some dandies here in this third period. You know, in a Scotty Bowman coach team with a 1-0 lead and the game wears down, you don't see players like Yarem or Yager on the ice. And we haven't seen the flashy youngster for quite a while now. I'm not sure he's been on at all in the third period. Lemieux with Rob Brown and Newman. Their last shift together, they had a couple of goals at Tom Barrasso. So Mike Keenan has them together again on the shift. Noonan won the draw and didn't know it. Puck was in his skates. Conte jumped on it. Set up the play and it's shut down the ice. 5:35 to play in the third. From center. Lemieux shot it in. Got it on the boards now. Chuck shot it ahead to him. Jocelyn Lemieux. Back to the line it goes. Here's a screen shot. And that just missed. The Penguins will bring it down. Yager shot it to center ice. In goes Loney. Dropped it back and there was Noonan. Noonan is coming in. Lemieux shot. A weak one. And he was wide to the short side. Penguins bring it out again. From center, Loney lifted one in. He's gone off on a change. 4:55 remaining in the third. Here's Gilbert with room. And offside is called. It's still 1-0. Pittsburgh with a slim lead.
No other minivan has won the hearts of so many Canadian families. Built in Canada by Canadians, the best-selling Chrysler Magic Wagon now carries another proud achievement. Winner of the Canada Award for Business Excellence in Quality. Chrysler. All you have to do is drive one.
Stay tuned for our Molson 3-star selection, and with 4:53 left on a 1-0 hockey game in favor of his team, you have to thank Tom Barrasso for more than passing notice from our board of strategy that picks the stars at the end of every playoff game.
Talkin takes the face-off on the Mario Lemieux line. Stevens, the other forward for Pittsburgh. It's Steve Smith now with Gilbert. His head down, but Murphy elected to play the puck. He did, took it away from him and gave it a Tocchet. He shot it away. 4.5 minutes remaining in the third period in Game 3. Chicago trying to climb back into the series. And they have to win tonight. They know it to do that. Shell Samuelson with 3:30 remaining, and he shot it in. Chelios turning back. Kravchuk starts to play out. Tip down the ice. Icing away. Down. Chance here for Noonan. But he couldn't move it in time. Noonan again. Gave it to Hudson. Pack had him covered. Noonan has the puck. Centered it. Right in front of the net. And Yager just poked at it and knocked it down the ice. 3 minutes remaining in the third. 1-0 Pittsburgh on a first period goal. And are making it stand up. Here's Nato's shot. That missed by 2 or 3 feet. Another shot from a sharp angle. Tipped into the corner. Chicago's racing again now. Pittsburgh are going to clear it out. Yager is tied up by Smith, but the puck rolled to center anyway. Chelios pounds it back in with 2:30 remaining in the third period. Onto the far boards. Kept in. Here's Marchment moving for the net. Center net. Oh! It got right through the crease by Barrasso and out the other side. And shot over the glass. Into the crowd. 2 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the third period. From center ice and goes off. He and Oak Samuelson. Pack and Shell Samuelson hop on. The Chicago Blackhawks can't get out of the zone. Driven back in by Tocchet. 1:55 to play in the third period. Well, here come the Blackhawks. The center is shot by Sutter in off the boards to the right of Barrasso, who's out of the net. Gilbert after it. Shell Samuelson knocked him down. There's Dirk Brave picking it up. Back at the net, Gilbert missed it. And the Penguins will bring it out again. Tocchet and Bork. Long high shot over the net. Tocchet grabs the rebound. Pounds it in behind the net. A minute and a half left. Belfour will be leaving that net. And he's struck him now. Gilbert from center shoots it in. 1:15 to play. Belfour hasn't budged. And is shot near the line. Chelios moving up there. Center net right in. Goulet stopped by Barrasso. 1:05 left. Belfour is still in the net. And Chicago is offside with 1:04 remaining in the third period. It is Pittsburgh 1, Chicago no score.
Boy, a guy who has scored over 500 goals in the National Hockey League, Harry, has a chance. Dead center, slot area. What a stop by Tom Barrasso. Pittsburgh bench just screaming at Koharski. Here's the chance right here. What a nice play by Chelios to get the puck to him. But when the puck went out and came back into the zone, the Pittsburgh bench went wild trying to talk the linesman into calling it an intentional offside and that the puck should come all the way down into the Chicago zone. A timeout's being called. Now, Scotty Bowman could not get the players he wanted on the ice, as Koharski remembered who was out there and who came off. So in order to do it, he called the timeout. Now he can put anybody out there he wants. So Bowman, it's pretty tough to trick this guy when he wants to get players out on the ice. A smart play late in the game by a smart coach.
Now, minute 4 left. There was a flurry inside the Pittsburgh blue line, Harry, starting with about a minute 20, minute 15 to go. But there was no move to pull the goaltender at that time. Doesn't that surprise you? Because just a little over a minute to go, and Belfour never moved.
Well, unless you have
the top of the show, but it was 50 years ago, 1942, the Toronto Maple Leafs became the only team to win the Stanley Cup Final Series after being behind 3-0. They were trailing the Detroit Red Wings. Pete Langell scored the cup-winning goal that year. A historic cup victory in Toronto.
It's been a strange game. It wasn't a team goal, the only one so far. Stevens had tipped in on a shot from the blue line at 15:26 of the first. Now we're in the final minute. Belfour hasn't moved yet. And the puck is in the crowd to the right of Barrasso. And the big question now is whether the faceoff will be inside the line. It looks as if it will be in that big circle to the right of the Pittsburgh net. Belfour hasn't moved yet. 1-0 Pittsburgh, and there's Mike Keenan. Down at the other end, to our right, is Ed Belfour, and not a move.
Well, the puck was shot right out of the zone without the pucking off anybody. Now Belfour goes. Keenan, I think, wanted to get Koharski's hand out, so Bowman couldn't make a change if he felt like it when he saw that the goalie was coming out.
Well, there is Belfour, the Chicago net, wide open. 55 seconds left in the third period of Game 3 in Pittsburgh. That far away from going 3-up and a stranglehold on another Stanley Cup. They won the first two at home in Pittsburgh and had a 1-0 lead in the last minute of play of the third here in Chicago. Here we go. Face off to the right of Barrasso. And it'll be Sutter against Francis. Here he goes, Hayes, the linesman, and he's telling Sutter now he has to warn him again. He might toss him out. Okay, play is underway. The Chicago Blackhawks with the extra man on. It is Chelios barging in along the boards. Flipped it in back to the net. There's Francis trying to tie it up. 42 seconds remaining. Rowan slapped at it. Larmer the other way. Smith shot. Knocked down by Tocchet. Mario Lemieux's up there. Stopped at center ice. Chicago can't shoot it in. Chelios in a wild tangle inside the line. Now frustration sets in for Chris Chelios with 30 seconds remaining. And this one is almost in the books.
Well, the puck got out into center ice. Chelios made no attempt whatsoever to leave the zone. And I think it's Ulf Samuelsson. No, it's not Ulf Samuelsson. It's Larry Murphy that hit him. And Chelios cross-checked him from behind and then jumped on him. And he's going to get a game. I know it doesn't mean much with 30 seconds to go, but a game for being the instigator in this fight. And there are still some players talking to each other. A complete example of the totally frustrated Chicago Blackhawks as the Pittsburgh Penguins are 30 seconds away from putting Chicago in almost an impossible situation, being down 3-0.
Well, they were hammering each other while the play was going on. Chelios had moved in after the Penguins failed to clear the zone, and he stayed in right beside the net. And he and Murphy started to go at it. Now, there's the beginning of it there. Murphy, Chelios turned, and they just kept hammering one another. The puck came out of the zone. And as you say, there's the spear.
Well, Chelios took 3 cross-checks in the back of the head to start with, and he hasn't forgotten it. And he keeps going right here. Murphy's turning him down. And finally, Tom Barrasso comes out and gets into it. The face-off will definitely come outside the zone as Chelios was offside. And I think that Koharski is going to get rid of 2 or 3 players here, especially Chris Chelios is gone. He's standing at the end of the rink. Ryan Newman bringing his stick of gloves over.
5 minutes for fighting in a game misconduct in 1929. Blackhawk penalty, Chelios, 5 minutes for fighting in a game misconduct in 1929.
1929. So Chelios is the only penalized player as a result of that. A 5-minute fighting penalty plus a game misconduct.
Well, there was no question about that call. It was a one-man fight.
This game, up to this point, with 30 seconds left in regulation, has had just 8 minor penalties. But Chelios lost his cool.
Ron Koharski's done an excellent job tonight at not over-refereeing this game, allowing the teams to play, calling them when he had to, and kept control of a game. It's been this close for this long under these circumstances. Everyone's on edge. But this calm referee kept it in shape.
The face-off will be out into the center ice area, just outside the Pittsburgh line, and Ed Belfour remains on the Chicago bench. And Chicago has 6 skaters out there looking for the puck. Make it 5 now with the Chelios major penalty.
Fans throwing debris on the ice and causing this the long delay. This doesn't help the Chicago situation at all.
Shots are 27-20 in favor of Chicago. They're unable to beat Barrasso. They did have some quality scoring chances, especially here in the third period. But Barrasso has been solid. Now Chelios with a major penalty. And the net empty, but Chicago will have just the 5 skaters. And only 30 seconds left.
Well, it's a tough night for Ed Belfour. He's been under some fire. He, I think, learned his lessons well from his goaltender coach, Vladislav Tretiak, because he played much better tonight, much more confidently. As we pointed out earlier in the broadcast, he has stopped 19 of the 20 shots, and you have to say that the shot that beat him back in 15-26 in the first period wasn't exactly the clean-cut kind of goal. It bounced around and finally in the net. He had no chance on it. Hit one of his own players in the way, and now we get the idiot fringe in the crowd holding things up. Scattered. This isn't a deluge of debris from the upper regions of the Chicago Stadium, but there's enough of it to hold up the game.
Well, in the last 17 years, only 2 teams won the Cup that scored less than 300 goals for the season they won it. Philadelphia in 75 and the Islanders in 80 are the exceptions, and in the last 9 years, only 7 teams winning the Cup, 7 teams out of the 9 winning the Cup allowed at least 280 goals. Pittsburgh has scored 343, so that qualifies them in the first bracket, and gave up 308. So if you think stats are telling the story, you're looking at a guy who's going to wear the 6th Stanley Cup ring not too long from now.
Now this team is 30.1 seconds away from its 10th straight win. Look out, there's some kind of a bottle came down. Plastic, luckily. Much was made, and rightly so, of the Blackhawks winning 11 straight and establishing a playoff record. Well, the Penguins will be 10 straight if they hang on and win this one. If they sweep this series to win the Cup on Monday, they would tie the record the Hawks established earlier this playoff year.
Well, Mike Keenan's not going to put the goalie back in, and I don't see any reason to do that. You're taking a long shot here at tying it up. He's going to leave them out, hope they win the draw, and take a 30-second run to try and get the equalizer.
You have to take your hats off to these Pittsburgh Penguins, though. They're a very disciplined team, and boy, they obviously had a game plan tonight. They started so slowly, and the Blackhawks started at such great pace. Didn't get a goal, and Pittsburgh got their one chance. This one will miss the net. Got their one chance and scored. As we mentioned, not a very pretty goal. A shot from the blue line, tipped in, but maybe it's up on the board, and it's 1-0 Pittsburgh with 25 seconds left, and that was an icy goal.
Not a smart play by a real smart player, Mario Lemieux, who tried to score the empty net goal and missed. And this could, I mean, if Chicago tie it up, this move by Mario will be one of the very few bad moves he's made in this series. He was about 7 or 8 feet on his side of the red line when he shot it down. And this gives the Hawks a chance, 25-second chance, to get the tire. So if you want to see a guy who will be more determined than ever on this shift, watch number 66. He's the guy that cost him this faceoff.
Chicago, 25 seconds left. Their net empty. Chelios, a penalty. So 5 skaters aside, you might say, inside that Pittsburgh blue line. It was not brought in. Now it is. From the blue line, Roenick is galloping in. He centered it. Got through in front of the crease. Nobody could make contact. Back of the goal. It is Mario Lemieux going after it.
this playoff with offense, and tonight they won this one by playing real solid defense. Those three coaches can be awfully proud of their game plan and the players that executed it so well. And when it failed or faltered or slipped, Tom Barrasso made sure the plan was kept intact. And the Hawks now are in a very difficult spot. Down 3-0. Scotty Bowman's talking to Mario Lemieux coming off the ice, probably asking him about that icing call. Scotty never gives up coaching. Here's Mario, I thought I'd score, Scott. Don't think about scoring when we're trying to prevent one, says Mr. Bowman.
So the only goal in the game, Stevens at 15:26 of the first, and the final score, Pittsburgh 1, Chicago 0.
Living, loving, building, growing, hometown proud, Canada.
There are some things you can't separate from this country. The values that make Canada, Canada, and hometown, home. At your hometown IGA supermarket, we still believe in them. IGA, home of great Canadian values.
Hometown proud, IGA. IGA.
Now you can have a whole summer of family fun with the Family Adventure Book 92. You pay $35, you get $225 worth of free admission for a family of 4 to 11 of Winnipeg's fun attractions. A whole day at Skinner's Wet and Wild, free. A full day of rides at Tinkertown, free. Grand Prix Mini Golf, Empress Bowling, Play Zone, Wheelies Roller Skating, Winnipeg Canoe Club, and more. And once you buy the book, you don't need to spend another penny. You get completely free admission for a family of 4. That's a $225 value for $35. You save more than $180. In fact, just use the coupon for Skinner's Wet and Wild, and you've already more than recovered the cost of the book. Supplies are limited, so get yours today at any Select-A-Seat location or by calling 780-7328. That's 780-7328. The Family Adventure Book 92.
From Canada to more European destinations, one airline owns the skies, which is one more reason why more Canadians fly Air Canada to Europe.
Hey, if you want to give your dad something to keep him busy, buy specially marked Pepsi, 7-Up, or Hostess Frito-Lay products, and you could win a Super Nintendo Entertainment System or a free Pepsi. You could also win a Power Magazine, a Game Boy, or a Nintendo Game Pass. You'll be the coolest kid on the block, and your dad, he won't know what hit him. What'd I tell you?
The defending Stanley Cup champions win their 10th in a row. They're a win away from the 1992 Stanley Cup as they triumph 1-0 at Chicago Stadium for Tom Barrasso. His second career playoff shutout. You may recall he had the 8-zip win to conclude the 91 Stanley Cup Championship Series. The second star tonight from Pittsburgh, Ulf Samuelsson, and the third star this evening, Chicago goalkeeper Ed Belfour. So the Penguins win it by 1 on the road. They lead the series 3-0, heading to Game 4 Monday night at Chicago Stadium. Scotty Bowman and Brian Trottier both have a chance to win their 6th Stanley Cup ring on the strength of a big win tonight. More on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC and the Stanley Cup playoffs in a moment.
And relief pitcher Lexford still won't get out of that air-conditioned car. Oh, here comes umpire Willard. Looks like he's had enough. Holy cow, look at this. Willard and Fabian going toe-to-toe. Willard wants Lexford out of that car.
This season, get air conditioning from Mazda or equivalent credit on 323, the four-door Protege, the Sporty Miata, the roomy MPV, and Mazda trucks.
And Lexford's getting an earful.
Beat the heat with air from Mazda.
Man, oh man, now Fabian won't get out of the car.
Now you can have a whole summer of family fun with the Family Adventure Book 92. You pay $35, you get $225 worth of free admission for a family of 4 to 11 of Winnipeg's fun attractions. A whole day at Skinner's Wet and Wild, free. A full day of rides at Tinkertown, free. Grand Prix Mini Golf, Empress Bowling, Play Zone, Wheelie's Roller Skating, Winnipeg Canoe Club, and more. And once you buy the book, you don't need to spend another penny. You get completely free admission for a family of 4. That's a $225 value for $35. You save more than $180. In fact, just use the coupon for Skinner's Wet and Wild, and you've already more than recovered the cost of the book. Supplies are limited, so get yours today at any Select-A-Seat location or by calling 780-7328. That's 780-7328. The Family Adventure Book 92.
The Big Country Awards with host Carol Baker and nominees George Fox, Michelle Wright, Gary Felgard, Blue Rodeo, Cassandra Bassett, Ian Tyson, Prairie Oyster, Anne Murray, and many, many more. The Big Country Awards on CBC TV, Monday, June 8th at 8 p.m., 8:30 in Newfoundland. Tonight at Chicago Stadium, they discovered a better masked man. This is the building where the Phantom loves to hang out, but Tom Barrasso was more than a match for the Phantom and anyone else who cared to take him on this evening. The Hawks are in a pit of despair as the Penguins win by a score of 1-0 to lead the series by 3. Joining me now, the second star of the game, Ulf Samuelsson. Congratulations, Ulf. Tell me about the game as you saw it tonight.
Well, I think Tommy played probably his best game of his life and kept us in there. You know, they had tons of chances, and we had some good chances too. It was a battle of two good goalies. It wasn't too many nice plays out there. It was more of a hard battle out there.
It's hard to talk about yourself, I know, but when you think of the Penguins, you automatically think of Yager and Tocchet and Francis and Mario, but the defense, I think, has really come into its own in these playoffs. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think usually in the regular season, we're, as a defense group, just trying to keep it below 5 goals, and we're going to win more games than lose. But I think the forwards are really giving us a lot of help in the playoffs.
I asked you while we were in the break how it is that somebody from Sweden is such a great hitting defenseman, because generally you're thought of as offensive catalysts. Where did you learn to hit?
Well, I looked myself in the mirror when I was younger there and realized that I wasn't going to get 20 or 30 goals every year. So I was trying to become a defensive defenseman, who can step up and hit every once in a while, and that got me into the league. And, right now I'm just happy to be a part of, one of the greatest teams in hockey, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tell me the story about Jim Belushi.
Well, Chicago is trying everything. They sent him over to our hotel yesterday, and he's pesting around there trying to make jokes and fun of us, but he didn't work.
And a brief comment on Scotty Bowman running your club to 10 straight victories. What do you think's in store for this team as you go into Game 4 Monday?
Well, I think as far as Scotty, he's just a master of the hockey. I mean, everybody knows what he's done and what he's doing right now. And Game 4 is always the toughest game to win. So we're going to have a nice day off tomorrow, and come back to the toughest game of the series.
My thanks to Ulf Samuelsson, the number 2 star this evening, as the Pens win 1-0. Back to wrap on Molson Hockey Night in Canada after this.
Now you can have a whole summer of family fun with the Family Adventure Book 92. You pay $35, you get $225 worth of free admission for a family of 4 to 11 of Winnipeg's fun attractions. A whole day at Skinner's Wet and Wild, free. A full day of rides at Tinkertown, free. Grand Prix Mini Golf, Empress Bowling, Play Zone, Wheelie's Roller Skating, Winnipeg Canoe Club, and more. And once you buy the book, you don't need to spend another penny. You get completely free admission for a family of 4. That's a $225 value for $35. You save more than $180. In fact, just use the coupon for Skinner's Wet and Wild, and you've already more than recovered the cost of the book. Supplies are limited, so get yours today at any Select-A-Seat location or by calling 780-7328. That's 780-7328. The Family Adventure Book 92.
Came from a small town to take on the world.